Hi, I'm Stunning Stella Cheeks.
And I'm the Enigma Erin Klein.
And this is
Not Your Demographic,
a feminist wrestling podcast.
Shockingly, those exist.
I love your big smile.
We both have giant mouths as we discovered from that
photo.
photo.
The photo from my 21st birthday where we're both like...
I totally went on your Twitter to find that after the fact. As soon as you said it, I was like, well, I need to find that.
Mm-hmm. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the podcast.
I love that every week you dance and nobody can see
I know,
it.
no one can see it, but it happens. And now every week when you listen, you will be
I'll know.
Erin's doing that weird dance. We have a special guest with us today. Hooray!
Can you introduce yourself
please
to the
introduce
listeners?
yourself.
Hi, I'm Courtney Rose. I'm awkwardly waving.
Yeah.
Well, what have you done? You
I know,
danced,
right?
now I'm waving. No one can see me.
It's how you sound natural is to like move
Right?
your
You just gotta
body.
move your body.
Now I sound like scared octopus.
That was the motion I was making.
I know. Let's just do a little backstory. So we met you on Twitter, and then you live in Chicago.
Yeah.
And so we met for the first time at an AAW show.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's when we met.
Yeah, that's when we met.
Yeah,
too,
that makes
yeah.
sense to me. I was like, that could have been a different show, but like, that's what makes sense to me.
You're on our podcast, and we're gonna talk about some wrestling.
I love like lady wrestling fan Twitter.
Yeah,
Like, I know
it's
that
the
lots
best.
of people can be like shitty, like people are like, oh, the internet wrestling community, blah, 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 but like there's like, I have no opinions about it overall, but like there's like a really nice sect of it that's
Yeah.
There's like a nice corner.
like lady
where...
power.
Lady
Yeah.
power.
On International Women's
Perfect.
Day!
International Women's Day!
Also, if I'm not mistaken, this is just me guessing and not having looked at a calendar. I do think that this is our 1 year anniversary of being on Cage-Side.
It is, because we debuted on International Women's Day on their site.
Wow.
It came up in my time hop today, so yay!
Damn.
Happy birthday!
Happy birthday, Cage-Side! Woo woo!
for happy birthday having us grace your website.
Yeah, I mean, that's when they started counting when that website existed, right? That's what I
Exactly.
assumed.
I didn't pay attention until then.
Fantastic.
What wrestling shirt are you guys wearing?
I am wearing my legit boss red t-shirt. I'm wearing a Sasha Banks shirt because I wanted to wear as much women's merch as possible today, so I have my Nikki Bella hat on.
Which you always have on, so it doesn't count. We've been over this.
I know, and my Sasha Banks shirt, and I have my Paige wallet and my Brie koozie with me all day.
Oh my God,
So I
woman.
was repping. I also had to work today and couldn't participate in the Day Without Women, so I wore all of the red merch that I could think of. And it was awesome to see a bunch of women in red in my building. I was like, they're everywhere! Women are everywhere! Which was kind of nice.
I did not work, but not because I didn't go into work. It's because the family I nanny for went on vacation, and I was like, well, I guess I'm participating. So, which is not like me shittily being like thumbing my nose at it. I'm a nanny. Like if I don't show up, like it doesn't affect anybody really except for that baby.
Yeah.
It's like
It could really affect the baby.
Yeah.
Right? The
The
just
baby's
sits
like
there
really
for hours.
crying by herself. That's so sad. Oh, I'm wearing my Zack Sabre Jr. This wrestler arm bars fascists. I had to read it upside down. That's what I'm wearing. And it's the one without the horrible stain on it.
Yay.
I didn't put the stain on it. They sent me one with the stain on it.
It straight up looked like you had
Hashtag pro
smeared-
wrestling tees, get your shit together.
Yeah, seriously. That shirt seriously looked like you had smeared deodorant, like you just stuck yourself with a stick of deodorant. It was really weird.
Good old
Yeah.
pro wrestling tees.
Yeah, right?
Let's give them all our money.
Yeah.
Shop at What a Maneuver. What shirt are you wearing, Courtney?
I'm
Shirts.
actually wearing, technically it's an AFI shirt.
Okay.
But it's a Jimmy Havoc. It's his theme song.
Oh, fantastic.
And Jay, for a surprise, wanted to get me a Jimmy Havoc shirt, but all his shirts have blood on them, and I have a real blood problem, so this was the closest thing she can get. So
that's
it's an
nice.
I Hope You Suffer Jimmy Havoc AFI shirt, I like to think.
And you're also wearing your Bullet Club
Oh, yeah,
hoodie.
I've got my Kenny Omega hoodie on.
It's very nice. I like it a lot.
I love the arm details.
I know, there's
they're
so
so
much on it.
cool.
I'm pretty sure This is like a humble brag, but I'm pretty sure I was the first person in America to have this hoodie
Humble
who didn't go to Wrestle Kingdom because they only sold these at Wrestle Kingdom first. And then but I had the secret ins of somebody guiding it for me at Wrestle Kingdom and then sending it to me before they got back. So
If you don't know, Courtney is
You're like a
super
Twitter
Kenny
mafia.
Omega fan.
Twitter Mafia.
You totally are.
No, Kenny Omega is bae.
Yes.
Kenny Omega is in the world of the things Courtney loves. There's only one thing that comes before Kenny Omega, and that is William Regal. The
Fair.
only thing. And then Kenny Omega is like, I love him more than breath and air, food,
You're
anything.
gonna say bread because you're like bread.
Bread.
And I was like, I mean, bread is pretty important, I guess.
Kenny Omega's probably tastier.
I love that all three of us, we've been hanging out for like a half hour, and the amount of times we'll just mention a wrestler's name, and one of us will go, or like, oh, he's hot.
Yep.
It's not why we watch, but it's hell.
It's really nice.
Not gonna deny, it's wonderful.
Do we have any news?
Yes.
Oh, remember when I used to do this?
Yes.
I used to do that every week.
I do remember that. Remember when we used to have music segments in between every section?
Yeah, that
Oh,
became
wow.
time consuming.
I know, that's why we don't do it anymore.
Fancy ass shit in this
Yeah,
podcast.
when we first started, I was like, I'm gonna make it super fancy, but it like took so much time, and it added all these music clips, and like after a while, I just got over it.
It's true.
And we started doing more. We used to take breaks and do like this segment, and then go to the bathroom. Now we're just like power through.
Start to finish, we're doing it. News. Hamna almost died.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
he almost died.
Was taking a hangman and fucked his neck up and was paralyzed for a second. And
For people like me who don't know who that is, explain who that is.
he is a wrestler in New Japan who was introduced to me as the Japanese Hulk Hogan because he wore Hulk Hogan's colors and he had very blonde hair. And he also beat the shit out of his wife, and so I'm kind of like, I don't really have opinions on the fact that you almost died, other than that it's bad that it happened. So I don't know. I feel very, very torn about it. Like, I don't want
I
this,
don't want you to die.
but you're also a piece of shit. So
It's basic consensus.
that's how I feel about that. Like, I am sorry that it happened, and I don't actually know who gave him the hangman. I bet it sucks to be that person. But past that, that is the only news that I have, that this dirtbag got a very unfortunate injury. And
feel
that
like
sucks.
There's other news. I did not take very many notes. I've been like the note queen lately, and I just have been really into my vampire book. There were like 1,200 pages this week. I love it so much. Well, I got a cool vampire tattoo.
Yeah, you did.
It is awesome.
It's scabby and gross right now.
Okay.
You know,
That's
tattoos.
Yeah.
Tattoo things.
I had a moment last night. I did a burlesque show, and I was
With a scabby tattoo.
well, like you can't see it on stage. I
okay.
mean, I have tons of tattoos.
Fair.
They take time to heal, whatever.
Yeah.
But I was going through the motions of getting ready, and I put aloe in my hand, and I dumped glitter in it, and ready to like put it on my body, and I just straight smeared aloe and glitter into my fresh tattoo, and I felt it as I went over it, and I went, I'm so fucking stupid! And everyone looked at me backstage, and I was like, and they looked at me, and I was like staring at my like glitter scab tattoo, and everyone was like, oh no, and I like ran to the bathroom and like hot water over it, and like it's still got like a little glitter in it. It's probably fine.
Oh my gosh.
We'll see.
Oh my god.
Doesn't feel bad. And there are lots of burlesque dancers who have tattoos. I'm sure I'm not the first person to have done it. But it was like, it wasn't even like after I had like rubbed it over the rest of my body. It was like hand full of glitter. The first place I put it was like smack right into the tattoo.
Oh gosh.
It was rough. It was rough.
Oh my god, I am sorry that you did that.
Yeah, it did not feel
Yeah,
great.
that sounds like it would be the worst.
Oh my god.
Hazards of getting tattoos and putting copious amounts of glitter on your body.
Yes, seriously.
Fucking glitter just messes with everything.
It does, it does. One person was like, well, if it embeds permanently, that's pretty cool. I was like, no, it's not pretty cool. It's probably really bad for you. So that's news. I did that.
Okay, that's
Nice.
good. That's a good personal update.
There's got gotta be other news, you guys. We're so unprepared. This is already a shit show.
This is the appropriate podcast to react to Fastlane, though. Just a hot
mess.
Hot mess. Oh, here's other podcast relevant news. TNA is falling apart. I have been a personal champion for TNA for about a year. I feel very betrayed, and I no longer want to talk about it on the podcast until maybe some dominoes fall. I watched this week's episode because it's wrapping up stories before everyone leaves, and I wanted to see the Falls Count Anywhere with Rosemary and Jade, which was really good. But I don't care about Jeff Jarrett, and I don't care about ADR, and I'm mad that all my favorite people are leaving. And I love EC3 and Eli Drake, but I don't think they're enough to make me watch it.
Right.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. So.
And because EC3 is at Evolve all the time, there are other places to watch it. Yep. Right? He's at Evolve?
He hasn't been in a while.
Okay, well, I can watch old episodes, maybe.
He might come back. You never know with Evolve. It's very confusing. Evolve is very strange.
I'll find other places to watch these people because I feel personally attacked.
They
did
this to you
right now. I've really been on the bandwagon for it, and I've converted people to watching this, and now I feel bad about it.
They've betrayed you in the worst way.
And now because of their betrayal, I've betrayed other people. It's a horrible chain.
Yep, it is really unfortunate, and I support your decision to no longer talk about it.
Good.
Yeah, you and I can talk off air about it when a good thing happens.
Yeah, right. Or if something's really good, I'll just be like, hey, this one thing happened. But I honestly I don't know if I have 2 hours of my life to commit to something that I don't care about anymore.
Yeah, I agree.
The Hardys are gone, Jade is gone, Drew Galloway is gone, Trevor Lee I can see in Chicago all the time, and his character on TNA sucks anyways. He's way better at AEW or on the independents, so that's just my update.
Yeah. Heartbreaking.
It's heartbreaking.
It's really sad.
But hey, maybe I'll have more time to watch Progress, and then I can listen to you and cheap plug your podcast.
Yeah.
Face like feministas.
So I have a question. Are you going to join Jay when Lucha Underground starts up?
Probably not. Only because, so I've written about this, and we've talked about it on our podcast before. I have it's an actual a personal issue with blood. So basically, without getting into sad Courtney territory, I was in a school shooting when I was in college, and so I have a real bad visceral reaction to blood spots. It just it PTSDs me basically.
Right.
So there's stuff in progress that I just skipped because it's too much for me. So when I started watching, I watched the first season of Lucha Underground, and some of it is just when they do those matches, some of them are too much for me.
Some of them
are. I might watch it in the sense that if Jay watches it first and then tells me if I need to skip something, because I saw just gifs of the Vampiro Pentagon Jr. and I literally
not watch that.
I had to get off Twitter because it fucks with me. That whole super violent wrestling is I have nothing against it. People can watch what they want, and people can do what they want with their bodies. It's not a moralistic thing.
Boundaries.
Yeah, it's just a personal boundary that just sets me off.
Super reasonable boundary.
Yeah, it's just a thing where I'm okay. So if it's if someone recommends me a Lucha Underground match, I'll go watch it as long as it's not something I've seen matches with blood. Progress does have some stuff with blood that I'm able to kind of walk get through.
Right.
If someone warns me and say, hey, this has blood, it's not too much, it's halfway through, it's okay, I'm prepared, I know it's coming. It's kind of when there's a match and then all of a sudden it turns bloody, and then it's I haven't fulfilled.
You haven't prepared.
Yeah, I haven't prepared myself mentally and gotten ready for it, so that's when it kind of fucks me up. So Lucha Underground is kind of hit or miss.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Well, that's good.
That was the worst transition maybe in the history of this podcast. Well, I don't know how to react to that, so I'm just gonna awkwardly make a sound.
I was gonna ask a follow-up question about the progress part of Face Like Feminista, and I was I need a vocal pause here.
She could have just gone, vocal pause,
right?
Question.
That's a good idea. That's a great idea. To be vocal pause. Just carry on.
Pause.
It works.
What day do you guys usually release your progress shows?
Mondays.
Okay,
Mondays,
cool.
yeah.
We haven't listened, not because we really want to.
It's
We
totally
just
cool.
don't. We've talked about this on our podcast because we love Face Like and Feministas and Jay and you. We just don't have time to watch Progress.
Right, yeah.
But now that I cut out TNAs, maybe I will.
And it's one of those things where if you really want to maybe get into it, you might not want to get spoiled.
Right,
So,
exactly.
That's kind of how I feel too.
Yeah, so, and we have a lot of people who have been, like, watching it, and then, like, they'll watch that section and then listen to it.
Yeah,
or,
that's
like,
how I think
they'll
I'm
catch
gonna do
up.
it.
Like, one of my friends just did that, where he's, like, he actually did the backwards, where he listened to the episode, and he was like, okay, that sounds cool to watch, and then he went and watched those, like, parts of the chapters.
Yeah.
So it was, like, it's kind of one of those things where it's, like, it depends on how much you want to watch.
3 hours long?
Yeah, it depends on, but they start off a little shorter and then they get longer. Now they're about 3 hours is like average. So it's like an average indie kind of show kind of thing,
Or a shitty WWE
Or a shitty pay-per-view.
Shitty pay-per-view.
Yeah. Which feels much longer.
It feels so
It
long.
does. I'm gonna pour some more wine.
You're going to tap everyone off or just yourself?
Yeah, I'm just gonna put this back under the table, and you don't get any
Like
more.
a monster. So, last time we had a guest, we didn't do our little questions. Do you remember that? We just plowed through it. But since you don't watch a ton of WWE, we could do our little questions.
Yes.
Just do it up top. They're not
I'm totally down with whatever.
that,
Invasive.
no. They're not. But I, just
Tell
off
us
the
the
top.
worst
Get
thing
the
you've
third
ever
degree.
done.
Tell me about that time you killed a man.
I mean, then all of my interests intersect. I do love true crime, so like if this turns into a confession, I'm like way into that.
Our first question is, why do you watch professional wrestling?
I watch professional wrestling because I'm like a big kid, and
Good answer.
and I just love it. And I'm a librarian, and so I think the storyline stuff and the character stuff is what appeals to me. And also, I've had this discussion with people before where there's a lot of librarians who are into wrestling.
There are secret wrestling fans everywhere.
everywhere.
Yeah.
Cory fucking Booker is a wrestling fan.
Yeah,
I love it.
It's just crazy. And there's like a whole group of us, like, there's a small collective on Twitter that are all librarian wrestling fans.
Like
and we're
Shelley
all-
Deathlock?
Yeah, Shelley Deathlock.
Yes.
And there's a couple. I have a friend Matara, and there's a couple of us who
That's
are
so
like
awesome.
secret. And then you find out that there's secret wrestlers who are librarians, and then it's like,
When I found out that Luke Harper used to be a children's librarian, I was
Yeah.
like, I will love you till the end of time. This is the greatest information I've ever learned. I love
do
it.
you know who else is librarian?
Who?
Ultramantis Black.
I didn't know
Really?
that.
Yeah, it's like, it's not a secret.
Right, I mean-
it's in the Chikara Ashes of Chikara movie. So yeah, but he's a librarian too, which is why he was offshoot here, but he was the reason I got into Chikara, was because
Oh.
Ultramantis Black, and I get to see him wrestle in 3 weeks. I've never seen him wrestle.
Yay!
You were
I'm
going
gonna
on this,
ball.
the next couple months are like, Courtney goes to every wrestling show in the entire
I'm
world.
going, so March, April, May, 3 months in a row. I think June I'm taking a month off, and then July and August I'm going to wrestling in different states too.
Because you're going to WrestleMania.
Yep.
You're going to England with Jay.
Yep. I'm going to AIW in Ohio to visit my friend in April. I'm going to LA in July to go to the New Japan shows, and then I'm going to Toronto for Smash and A1, hopefully, if I can find a weekend in August.
That's
I love
awesome
it.
and super, like, jealousy inspiring.
That's
I'm just
I'd
super,
love to
I'm
be
super
like-
fucking insane.
I remember when...
But, like, you get two things. You get to go see wrestling that you like, but you also get to travel. Like,
Yeah,
it's a good
that's, like,
Yeah,
my two favorite
exactly.
things.
It's a
Yeah.
great way
Yeah.
to travel. I remember when I first started following you on Twitter a year and a half ago,
Yeah.
and you were talking about going to like the Mania Carnival and all the stuff that was happening.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, how the fuck does Courtney do all of this? Like, how does she go to so much independent wrestling? I don't understand. And then I started going to AAW like every fucking month and was like, I understand now. I will fly to see anything. This is incredible. I just need to stop being like dirt fucking poor and buy a plane ticket. And like,
Yeah.
now those are my
I thought
wrestle
you were going to
goals.
say buy a plane, and I was like, no,
Can't do
not
that.
the next logical step.
We should pool our money, and so we should be like a wrestle plane. Yeah,
I do really want to
Pick
learn
each
how
other
to
up.
fly a small aircraft, so like maybe we can
There we
make
Is that
go.
like a
some-
bucket list thing?
Oh yeah, before I die, I want to be able to fly like a single engine plane. I think that would be awesome.
See, and then you can just pick us up, and
right?
we'll go on little
Exactly.
wrestle road trips.
It would be amazing.
Yeah, exactly.
That's really funny.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
So the second question is, how long have you been watching wrestling?
So, let me do math. 20 years?
Damn.
20 years? Yeah.
So did you watch it growing up?
Yes.
Okay.
I think I watched my first wrestling show when I want to say it was 8 or 9.
Did you watch it? Was it somebody else in your family who got you into it?
Yeah, it was, so, it was So when I grew up, my parents worked all the time. So I most of the time after school, I'd go home and stay with my grandma and my uncle. And so all the boys at school were talking about wrestling. And then, so my uncle really liked wrestling because he was big on, like, 80s stuff. Yeah. So, like, you know, he's a big, like, Ric Flair, WCW, Macho, like, all that kind of stuff, like, NWA stuff. Like, my uncle's really, really into that. So we watched it, like, one day. And so once we got into it, it started to be a thing where it was, like, after school, once you got your homework done, he would have recorded Raw and Nitro, and it would be like the thing to watch until we got picked up, and then the next day we'd watch Nitro, and then we'd get picked up by our parents and taken home. And then he would be like, show us old 80s tapes, and so we'd have something to watch all the time, so that's how we got into it. And we were all like freaking out in our house because they announced, I think last week before, that DDP is going to the Hall of Fame. DDP was my whole family's wrestling. It's not just me. My sister is in training. My parents really like him. My uncle likes it. We're all like a wrestling house. So DDP was like our first like wrestle family love. Yeah. And now it's moved on. We have other ones now, but DDP was like our original. So I have my original like DDP shirt from when I was 10, my first ever piece of wrestling merch. I have my DDP Brawling Buddy and my Macho Man NWO Brawling Buddy. Like we still have those. So like I've been watching wrestling since like I was legit a child.
Did you ever have any like breaks?
Yeah, I stopped watching for a bit in like high school because I was, you know, a really angsty
girl.
I was a really
that's what happened to us.
I was really emo, angsty scene queen.
Same.
Yeah, I had like big scene hair and raccoon eyes and all that stuff, you know. And so I stopped watching for like 3-4 years, and then when I went to college, I went to like Buffalo Wild Wings or something, and there was a pay-per-view on, and I was like, I used to watch this shit all the time, and so I was telling my friends, I'm like, I know who that is, like the old woman in the bar, you know, like I remember back in my day when he was just starting out, you know, and then I started watching it again
because it's
be on
TV.
Yeah,
because that's what happened to me. I went to Squared Circle because through burlesque I had met Lisa. Marie. Lisa Marie. Yeah, and she had like ribbed me, and she was like, "You've never been to my restaurant." I was like, "Oh yeah, I'll go to your restaurant," because we had at that time before she moved seen each other at like various burlesque blah blah blah, and so I was like, "Oh, I'll go," because we're like casual like run into each other friends. Yeah. So I was like, I have to be able to be like, I went to your restaurant. I went with Nick, and they were playing wrestling because it's a wrestling place, and I was like, oh my god, I forgot. And then like I just like dove in like full like this is my life now.
Speaking of the Squared Circle, do you want to know the most like markish thing I've ever done? So this was last May. I want to say it was last May I think. And Global Wars was going to be here. Mm-hmm. And so it was like the day before Global Wars, or the day of, I think it was day before. We had a bunch of my friends came into town, stayed with me, so we could all go to Global Wars together in AAW. So we're already nerdy there. So of course we're like, well, let's go to the Squared Circle. So we go to the Squared Circle, we order only wrestling named related food.
The Gail Kim burger, the Gail Kimchi burger is so fucking good.
Everything is good. There's so much
Their food is like legitimately really good.
Yeah, it is. So we're sitting as a group of people who met on wrestling Twitter in a wrestling-themed place, watching wrestling, but also on my phone streaming Evolve because it was the cruiserweight qualifying matches, and we were all wanted to see if Drew Gulak got in. It literally was like the most wrestling nerd thing. I'm in a wrestling bar watching wrestling on one screen and wrestling on my phone with all my Twitter wrestling friends, and I'm like, I am the worst.
Or conversely, the best.
I was like, I have brought all these people together for this reason and this reason alone.
Now you're harnessing your power.
Yeah, we're all gonna get drunk in the afternoon and watch wrestling in a bar and then go watch more wrestling. And we're all gonna love it.
Yes.
So you already told us, because this is the next question. Is who's your favorite of all time?
My favorite of all time is William Regal. Yes.
And then who's your favorite of any current roster is?
Kenny Omega, Kenny Omega, Chris Hero, Zack Sabre Jr., Dustin.
I'm sorry, his name is Cassius Ohno.
Shut the fuck up.
He'll always be Chris Hero in my heart.
Oh man.
Love my fave, but yeah. Now though, but that's the thing. Like I have to watch NXT now because I don't normally, and I'm like, oh, now Chris is there. I have to watch it. And then Kenny wasn't wrestling for a while because the whole New Japan thing, and that was when I was just like, I need to make more favorites. I was like, they're all dropping like flies. So yeah, Zack Sabre Jr. or Zack Sabre Jr. as I say on my podcast, in a high pitched voice, and Dustin is probably my other favorites, and
Dustin being
Chuck Taylor,
but specifically as Dustin.
Specifically as any form.
I mean,
the Dustin character is so funny.
and
his like
he's
commitment to it, but like the character's like non-commitment to everything is perfect. It's like comedic gold.
He is legitimately one of my favorites, and he was another one of the reasons why I watched. He was like the real reason I started watching Chikara, is because I loved him, and everyone's like, "How have you not fucking watched Chikara?" And I'm like, "There's just so much Chikara that I was like, I don't know how to get into this." And my friends were like, "Just start and watch a show and see if you like it, and then move your way forward or back." And that's what I did. And it was funny because I started watching for Chuck, and I already loved him, and that's when I fell in love with Ultramantis Black. And I was like, all right, now I have to watch it. And now I'm kind of like a weird Twitter, people come to me and ask me about Chikara stuff kind of person.
It's true. That's part of how we became friends, is you told me about Chikara, and then we started exchanging photos of Chuck Taylor. And we'll be best friends forever. And
I was like, listen, there's some babes on this. You gotta get on this.
Some babes. See, I had a really good time going to Chikara, and I really want to get more into it, but I think I did that thing where I subscribed to it and then I picked like a random thing, and the quality of the recording was so bad that I was like, I don't think I can do this. But like I really liked seeing it live, and maybe I just like picked the wrong one.
You have to, I think there's like certain places that are good places to start, because it's had such a weird...
It's like 16 seasons or something?
It's technically on the 18th right now.
What?
So it's been around since 2002. So, and there's a lot of people, that's part of why I like it, is because there's a lot of people who currently wrestle on their roster who have been there since, I don't know what that was, have been there since the first, like, season. So, like, they were in the graduating class of the Wrestle Factory and stuff. So, like...
That's cool.
Yeah. Ultramantis Black, Hollow Wicked, Icarus, there's a couple other people who have all been there since, like, the very beginning. So it's kind of cool that they're, like, still there.
See.
Yeah, so... But I'm just a nerdy. I mean, it goes back to
like my weird nerd room, right? Like you don't have to qualify like that you're nerdy.
Well, I think
I have a vampire tattoo,
right? Yeah. I have a Harry Potter tattoo, so I feel
a
you,
Star Trek tattoo.
I love you so much.
I was like, do you want a chip?
No, we're all equally losers.
Because you have some nerdy ones. You have the Battlestar.
I have a Battlestar
Flux capacitor.
Yeah, I've got a bad.
No wonder we're friends.
Right, exactly.
We're all weird freaks that are like, must ink body with love.
I love this thing. Put it on my flesh forever.
But I think it goes back to what your first or second question was about like why you like wrestling. And I think like it's a weird librarian thing in some cases where people have asked me about it before, and I think like in general, because of who I am and what I do for a living, like I really enjoy facts and like knowing things and research and all that. And canon and storylines, and when things like come together, I just really enjoy that. Like you get with a book series, and the same thing with being a reference librarian. Like I'm looking for information and facts all day. So I am a completionist when it comes to wrestling. So I have seen all 18 seasons of Chikara.
See, I'm a completionist too in just general, and so like that's part of the reason why I like Chikara and like Progress. Like if I start, I have to.
That's okay. Yeah, so that's the thing. I'm going to warn you. If you start Progress, you're going to want to watch the whole thing.
Yeah, I know.
Especially the first 20 chapters are like, in general, like the beginning's a little hit or miss because it's like new promotion, and the visual quality of it is very different than say like when you get to chapter like 20s and stuff, and that's when it really picks up. But the storytelling is like
so good.
Jimmy Havoc, I'm not gonna spoil anything really, but it's kind of well known. Jimmy Havoc is honestly the best modern wrestling villain there's ever fucking been. There's no question to me. He is wonderful and evil and genius, and the whole time I'm watching it, I'm like, I will never stop watching Progress now. Like I was like,
my life.
I thought it was gonna be one of those things where I'll watch all the way through with the subscription, and then I'll drop it for a couple months, and I can pick it up. It's like, no, I'm gonna have to keep this subscription forever, so I can constantly like.
But that's like exciting to hear, though.
It's really good. I think
like,
it's super good.
Stu Williams has been listening to our show for like the last year, and he for the last year has been like, what is wrong with you? Just start watching this. You really, really need to. And it's that completionist thing where like, I really fucking want to, and I really want to watch it. I have like a semester left of school, and as
Right.
soon as school's done, it is going to be replaced with like learn all the things about all the companies that I need to know about. I'm like, I can like see that light at the end of the tunnel, like Progress Chikara. I'm just gonna like tick both of those off.
And you should see my
wait.
planner, because we do the podcast, so it's like, this week we're watching these 8 chapters, and this chapter, and it's like, me and Jay have gone through like 4 notebooks already, because we're taking notes on every match and stuff, and people have told us like, yeah, you really thought about that. Like, we didn't think that heavily. But, like, wrestlers will be like, we
Jay
didn't
is
think that.
the best / worst out of that, where it's just like,
her...
this intricate storyline, I'm pretty sure it comes from here. And you're like, you totally made that up, but it works. Yeah, it absolutely works.
Your headcanon is great.
Your headcanon is perfect, but I guarantee you they did not think about
She's
that.
amazing like that. The way she thinks is just, like, the best. I'm just, like, overwhelmed. I'm like, I didn't even imagine that.
I love that there's so much headcanon in indie wrestling, that like people care so much about it that it's like when you love something, you're just like, yeah, here's how this goes into this, and like if they do this thing, and you can like, I love that there's like headcanon and fantasy booking and like rehashing of old stuff. I love that you can just like smash all that stuff together, and like it's just such a great part of all wrestling, but especially indie wrestling.
I think that's why indie wrestling is so cool, because so much of what you watch is word of mouth.
Yes.
So if you talk to someone, like I never would have gotten into Chikara, for example, unless I had like people on Twitter being like, you will enjoy this. You should watch this aspect of it, because this is something you would like. And they know you well enough they can recommend something, and then you like it, and you tell someone else. And like that's how indie wrestling works, really. It's like it's all word of mouth and little clips and stuff, and it's just a taste to get you into something, and then you tell somebody else and somebody else, and that's what I like about
you pull
it.
like one weed up, and then you find out there's like a fucking orchard underneath of it. You're like, where did all this come from?
I also think indie wrestling, because I've taken a bunch of people who've never watched wrestling to in like AEW specifically, and like there's something about indie wrestling that's so like, not only are you close to it, but like it's just very accessible. Like there can be a long running storyline, but it's way more accessible, I feel like, than like WWE sometimes.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because like I've taken so many people who I thought would hate it, and they were like, this is so much fun.
Exactly.
I can tell why like you like it. Like I don't know what's going on, but I'm like really invested.
The last AEW show, I took one of my oldest friends who we used to work at the bookstore together. I took her and my friend Dawn from work. And neither of them have seen wrestling outside of, like, Attitude Era, like, when we were kids, you know what I mean? So they both came with me, and they were like, I don't know what, but we like hanging out together, and there's booze, so let's go. And by the end of it, they were just like, I would go every month.
Yes.
And they're not coming this month because it's St. Patrick's Day. But, like, they're all like, next month, we're all going.
We're all
and by the end of it, my friend Dawn was like, oh my God, who is this Trent guy? I want to meet him. So, like, Trent, afterward, I went up, and I'm like, you know, we're, like, talking, and my friend, like, took a picture with him and stuff, and we were, like, talking to them after the show. And she was just like, I can't believe you can just like talk to people. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, that's a big cool aspect of it. Is that like you actually get to meet people.
Me and Jessica Havoc talked about our nails.
I know.
Heidi Lovelace once told me that she liked my style. No big deal. But it's super fun that you can just be like, and like.
They're so accessible. It's
you
have
like
you said.
So many weird like interactions with Cole Cabana that makes me uncomfortable.
Learning about how men pee.
Listen.
I like can't even with you and Cole Cabana. It's so upsetting to me. Remember that one time you had that really awkward interaction with Tommaso Ciampa?
Yes, I do.
They were like, they said like hello to each other, but she was like, good show, and he was like, oh, thanks, but like with the like knowledge that like the line would move, or like there would be room for one of them to leave, and then there wasn't.
We just had to
so
like
then they just
stand next to each
stood
other.
next to each other, like, oh, we already kind of said a thing.
I know that feeling well.
It was so bad, and I was like, I already spent my merch money, and I want one of your shirts, but I literally have no money to give you. It was just the most awkward moment of my whole life.
You're just stuck, and you're like,
I was there totally alone, too. It was a show that I went to. It was my first show. It was only my second indie show, and I was there by myself. In Berwyn.
Oh, God.
And, like, you know, when you go up those stairs, and then you get, like, trapped walking up the door. He was standing at the merch table, and I was just standing there, like,
just like,
fucking murder me, right? Like, there's no one around me. I'm totally alone. I look like I was clearly like, who is this fucking weirdo girl here by herself? I was like, I need to get out of here immediately.
One of the weirdest situations I've ever been in is I went to last year's, I don't remember what it was called, but it was the big Ring of Honor show with New Japan that was in Vegas.
Yes.
Which was awesome.
It's their, like, anniversary show.
Yeah.
It's this weekend.
It's this weekend, yeah.
Yeah.
It was so fucking awesome, but at one point I was in an elevator with Nigel McGuinness, Matt Sydal, Chris Sabin, Kevin Kelly, and somebody else, and just me, like obvious, obvious fan, like in my hoodie or something, just like in the middle of like every awkward like teen movie you've ever seen, where it's like you're just the one girl, like this is the weirdest thing.
A similar thing happened to me at Dragon Con one year. I
remember this.
My boyfriend at the time was really hungover, so I was like, he had to like get up and take a photo with Stan Lee or some nerdy bullshit. And I was like, okay, I'll go get you aspirin. So I'm in my pajamas and I get into the elevator, and I'm a big Star Trek fan, which I'm gonna sound like not a Star Trek fan because I can't remember this one character's name. But I get in the elevator and it's two guys dressed up like Klingons. I look at them and it's the actor that plays Chancellor like Goran, and then the actor that plays his like counterpart, but they are in full Klingon. But they are the actual actors.
Actual, yeah.
Full Klingon. Me in my pajamas. No makeup on. Just like in between both of them. And I was like, hello, and they're like, hi. And I was like, hi. And then I took the whole elevator down, and then like I got out, I was like, I really love Deep Space Nine.
That same weekend that I was in Vegas, at one point, because it was such a weird place because it wasn't on the Strip, so all the wrestlers stayed in the same hotel that basically everyone who was there stayed in, and it was like a self-contained.
It's my fucking nightmare.
It was the weirdest thing ever because it's like a casino.
It's like the beginning
hotel.
of a sex room for me.
Oh, it got there for me. But it's like, you know, the casino is in the hotel, so no one has to leave to go to the Strip, so everybody's like,
right.
So you like walk down and have breakfast, and I went with our friend Keith. You know Keith, I think.
Yeah.
And we like walked downstairs to get breakfast with him and our friend Nikki, and like the Briscoes are like having Subway, and like Gato's in line getting an ice cream cone. Like I was like, what world is this? And so I literally in the elevator.
The Briscoes eating Subway is very
It's amazing. I get off the elevator to go get food, and I walk straight into somebody, like almost knocked over someone. And I, you do that thing where you're like, oh my god, I'm so sorry. And I look up, and it's fucking Dalton Castle, like normal dressed with his wife, Dalton Castle, and like Dalton Castle kind of knows who I am because I've met him like so many times because I love him, and I did makeup of him for my blog, and so he like knows and signed the pictures and stuff. So he was like, oh hey, and I was like, I just nearly killed you, I'm so sorry. And his wife was like, hi, and I was just like, oh, this is the worst. I was like, I could not be more of an obnoxious like looking nerd. Like, I'm just sorry, I just ran you over into Las Vegas. And that was actually, that whole weekend was like a fever dream. But as we were leaving to go to get to our car with like our little suitcases, me and Keith, and we're walking out, and it was, can't remember who was with them, but it was Colby Carino, somebody else, and Kenny Omega, like walking by. That was the whole reason I went, because I wanted to meet Kenny Omega, because I am that girl. And he was just like, hey, have a good one, and like waved to us, and here's me like standing frozen. Like, it's like, you know when it's Lizzie McGuire? Do you remember that show? And it was
I remember that show.
It was normal Lizzie, and then it would cut to like
her
animated
cartoon.
Lizzie, like basically fainting and like dying. It was basically cut to like animated Courtney just like melting like Alex Mack. Hi, Kenny Omega. It was so nice to meet you.
It's hard to not be like a weirdo.
The worst. And I'm normally really like
because there's
chill.
So many wrestlers too. It's so funny to me that you have some too that you.
But
feel
there's
that
always
way
a
about.
threshold for people. Like when I worked at Challengers, when I met CM Punk, I was like, hey, whatever, hi. Like it's cool that I'm meeting you, but here are your comic books. Yeah. Whatever. But one time he brought his wife in, and I was like, I like got really sweaty, and I was like, oh my god, fuck, what? Oh my god. And she was like, hey, and I was like, hi. And I was just like went behind the register and was like, why am I having this reaction?
Yeah.
I was like, I see him like once a month.
Yeah.
But I was like, I can't handle this.
I think Kenny Omega and William Regal were the two people I met where I was just like actual fangirl, and I was just like, oh my god, pushing my glasses up, fixing my braces. You know what I mean? Like I was like super 16-year-old awkward teenage girl trying to ask somebody to the prom. Like
that's adorable.
It was so embarrassing. Everybody else, I'm like, I don't give a shit.
Right?
But with that, it was just like, this is so weird.
I remember I was at a show with you and Keith at Bourbon Street. And it wasn't one of the shows that you did as makeup, but Chris Hero was there, and Haley was there.
Oh, yeah.
And he came over to the bar and, like, said hello to you guys and hugged you, and Keith was like, Chris, we'll give you a hug if you want, and I was literally, like, move in front of me. This is my nightmare. Like, I love Chris Hero, and if I try to talk to him or he touches me, I'm gonna freak the fuck out. And Keith was just like, okay, I understand, and just like stood between us, and I was like,
one time,
okay.
Colt Cabana walked in front of her and she freaked out. At your first indie show.
Oh, you mean the time that he was like, I watched you waiting to come to my table and you didn't come up to me, and I was like,
before that, when we were standing back by the curtain, and you know, like those shows, like people walk out, he like didn't notice who it was, or he walked in front of you and he said like hello to us because we were
it was
like,
when he was shaking everyone's hands. That's what he said to me. He was like, I saw you waiting at the table. Why didn't I wanted you to come talk to me? And I was
and
like,
you were drunk and you were like,
I was so drunk. I was plastered, and I was just like, and
this is the beginning of their terrible relationship.
Too is he was holding my hand. That's why I was like, also like, what? I thought that he was what's
gonna murder you?
No, Grado. I thought I was shaking Grado's hand, and then he wouldn't let go of my hand, and then I realized it was Colt Cabana, and he was like, why didn't you come to the table? Yeah.
So that's like, I wanted your $20.
To be fair, I was like, it wasn't just like he walked past me and I fainted like a Victorian lady. It was like he held my hand and was like, why didn't you come talk to me? And I was like, I'm gonna pass out. What is happening? It was a little different.
And now here we are.
And now here we are.
I love it.
So another question that we have is, what do you think of the state of female wrestling? Women wrestlers.
Women wrestlers. I think it's great, and I think it's getting better, and it's like awesome that it's getting better. From like a personal standpoint, like it makes me kind of like sad fan that everybody's going to NXT, and like my favorite wrestler I don't get to see anymore because it's Heidi Lovelace. And I get to see her on NXT, but it's like, that's one of those things where it's like, it just feels different, and it's like, now I have to start watching NXT because I don't usually. And so it's like another reason to get me to watch though. So
it's such like a bittersweet feeling because you're like, I'm very happy for you and your like career and like, this is so amazing.
I want only
but
the best.
Really upset for myself.
Yeah. I'm like, please go make all the money in the world and get all the fans, and just, I want everybody to know how amazing she is. But just from like a personal standpoint, I'm like, I don't get to see her freelance in front of like 200 people anymore. You know? It's just, you know, that's just like
walk up to you at halftime, at intermission, and buy a shirt directly from you anymore.
Yeah,
like, it's just
gotta
it's
go
very
through.
different.
Yeah.
But like, I have a really good friend who lives in California who he used to be a casual fan, and now he watches like every week and is like super into it, but is only into WWE. That's all he watches. And when Heidi got there, he texted me and he was like, hey, I saw that this woman signed. She looks really badass. I heard that she's from the Indies. Do you know anything about her? And was like,
let me
tell you. I was like, girl, let me tell you what. She is amazing. I want to tell you everything. I like sent him photos of the shirts that I had, and we like got into talking about it. And he was like, I'm so excited to see a woman who looks so different and is like so badass. And it was
I'm excited that there's 2 women with really visible tattoos.
Me
now.
too.
Kimber.
It's really nice. And like, the last time they tried to hire somebody was fucking Nazi Zahara. Like, she was the last like really heavily tattooed woman that they hired, and she done fucked it up real bad. So it's nice that they're like, you're not all Nazis. We'll hire some of you. So that's also really nice.
So yeah, I think it's awesome, and I think it's cool that there's more eyes on women's wrestling, and there's more shows that are putting women on their shows.
Yes.
Excuse me, which is really cool. And like, I'm excited to see if the promotions that relied heavily on Kimber and Heidi and some of the other women like Evie and
AEW.
AEW, Chikara, like they're all, you know, they're all guilty of it. We'll continue to start booking more women more often because I feel like it's something more people want. Like,
they do
and
want
people
it.
and they deserve it. Like, all these women are like fucking amazing, and like that was part of the reason why I started watching Progress too, was because it doesn't happen right away, but when we started in a later chapter to get a feel for it, and then we went back to the beginning. And the later chapter we saw had 6 women in it, I think it was. And it was like a singles match, or no, yeah, something like that. It was a singles match, and then there was an intergender trios match.
Oh, okay.
So there was 4 different women.
Me too.
And it was, and it was really cool. And so like, I want to see more of that. Like, I really like the idea of just it becoming more and more of a thing. Like, companies should start booking women on because they deserve it, because they're all fucking crazy. And these women have been busting their asses for years.
Yes.
Like, some of these women, like, it just blows my mind when I see some women on the indies, and I'm just like, how are you not making all the money? And how are you not, you know what I mean? Like, just in general.
How is Candice LeRae not, like, headlining huge shows?
How is Lufisto not, like, doing that? Like, there's so many great women And, you know, you've got your 1 or 2 women's matches on every random show, and then you have, like, Stardom, or Shimmer, which, like, Shimmer only runs twice, 3 times a year, really. Right, yeah. It's not very often. And then Stardom's, like, you have to get the subscription service and stuff like that, but it just I want just more, and I want it to spread
more.
Yeah, I just want more. There's just so many good women's wrestlers, and people I don't think are exposed to enough of them, and I think
or the ones that they're overexposed to, like,
to the
a
same
handful.
4,
and not that like they're
WWE's guilty of that same
right,
shit.
and don't get me wrong, I love most of the, like, same 4s,
right.
you know, when it happens, like, they're some of my favorites, but I also want to see other wrestlers.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah.
Our last question is kind of no longer relevant because now everyone has the same opinion that we once had. But since you don't watch as regularly, maybe you have a different opinion. How do you feel about The Miz?
Oh, isn't The Miz, like, awesome now?
Yes.
Yeah. When we first had this question, me and Erin were like, you guys don't get it. He's amazing.
So, like,
and now we have this question. People are like, yeah, he's great. And I'm like, oh, guys.
I've been saying it from the beginning.
I like to really point out, like, when I'm, like, right about something. I was right about The Miz. I was right about New Day. Fuck you guys.
I think sometimes so I don't watch WWE weekly, but I'll watch, like, I have them on YouTube, so usually we'll watch, like, their YouTube, like, 2-minute review of each match or something like that. If it's people I like. Fastlane, I only really watched most of it, but then the only thing I enjoyed was the Jack Gallagher and Neville match.
Yeah, that was great.
But I'll watch anything that involves Jack Gallagher, let me tell you. Anything that involves him, I'll watch it. But I loved all that stuff. But one of the things I'll watch is if Twitter is, like, a flutter about something, and they're just like, oh, this was so wonderful, 900 people are gifting it, and I'm like, all right, I'll fucking watch it. So then I'll get on demand, and I watched from, I think it was last week, there was, like, Nikki, John, Miz, Maurice, like, showdown, and that was awesome. And Miz has always been really great on the mic, and I love Maurice.
I do too.
I always
I
liked
also really
Maurice.
like her shitty theme song. Pourquoi?
And then, like, random dance beats.
Pourquoi? I love the worst theme songs.
You do?
The like, more terrible the theme song, the more I'm into it. I love Summer Rae's theme song. So terrible. Reboot is my favorite. Reboot's the best theme song. Honestly, the, like, shittier, like, European house music, like...
So you like Zack Sabre Jr.'s entrance music?
Yes, it's so funny.
It's so trashy.
It's so perfect, though.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah. Entrances, I talk about it a lot on our podcast, are, like, my thing. So that's why I got into Progress, was because the one of the shows we watched, it was, like, Progress is amazing because of their cinematography. I don't know if that's really the right word for it, because it's not like a movie.
Yes,
right.
Sure
but
it is.
The way that they shoot their shows and the way they do their lighting, it changes for every wrestler. Yeah, it changes for every wrestler. Their music, I think everybody picks the music themselves. It's not like Ring of Honor where everyone has, like, generic alt-rock band music. And I
we don't
hate
have to
that.
pay for this.
So, like, everyone in Progress has, like, super cool, interesting music that actually fits themselves.
When you hear it, you know who it is.
Right, and it immediately puts that correlation.
I watch Cheating in ROH every week, and sometimes I have to, like, wait till the person comes out.
Yeah,
and be like, oh, yeah.
I'm the same way with ROH. And
it all sounds the same.
Yeah, so much of it sounds the same. And Progress is cool because I think, so I don't know what's different about them, but they don't have as many issues, I think, in the UK with their, like, music rights. Mm-hmm. So all the songs that they use are, like, songs you would know. Or, like, at least songs that, you know, if you're, like, a nerd, a music nerd, you know. Like, Dave Mastiff uses an old Saxon song called Denim and Leather. It's, like, the best thing ever. It fits him perfectly. Like, there's just a lot of really cool music. And it's stuff that you can...
Like, Mustache Mountain uses, like, Sledgehammer, right?
Tyler Bate uses Sledgehammer.
Does, yeah.
Mustache the British Strong Style uses... Love is Blindness by Jack White from the Great Gatsby soundtrack.
Fancy.
There's a lot of, like, really good... There's a couple that I think you guys would really like called the South Pacific Power Couple. And they come
I'm already
out...
on board.
Yeah, they're from New Zealand. They actually are a couple. They moved from New Zealand to learn how to wrestle at the Projo, which is, like, the developmental thing at progress, but they come out to a song called Keep It 100, and it's like the most like
I'm in.
dancey dubstep shit ever.
I love it.
Their whole thing is that they're a couple and they make out for their entire, so they'll make out,
I'm
then
100% on
they
board.
go to the ring and like the camera's on them and they'll make out and the guy will make eye contact with the camera. Wow.
I like that.
It's amazing. And it's
I like that of everything. You're like, oh, you'll like this.
Oh yeah.
The weirdos to make out in
Yeah.
front of everybody. You guys
will find it amusing.
Specific.
You know our demographic.
There's
Okay.
a Jesus character. It's great.
Random question on the fly that we've answered before. If you had to enter to, what would be your theme song?
Ready to Die by Andrew WK.
She knew it right
Right
away.
Andrew WK is my dude. So.
Do
Or
you
something
remember
by
yours?
Sleigh Bells. One of the two, probably.
nice.
That's a good one.
Do you remember what yours says?
Yeah, mine's is bare hands it's called like bare hands, bare feet. It's something so Bombay Social Club.
Oh, okay.
The one about building a city, because that opening has that like guitar build that's
Yeah.
like 30 seconds long, and then
Awesome.
they have like one verse. It's like the perfect amount of time for an entrance.
Mine was Let's Have a Kiki.
I love it. Jay and I
Just coming out and like doing hair flips and voguing.
Perfect. That's so you.
Yes.
Jay and I have discussed if we were a tag team, we'd come out to Head First for Halos by My Chemical Romance, because we're both like old emo scene queens.
I
Oh,
love
and
that.
our tag music piece.
Yeah, you need to
like
find
us
your best.
pushing each
Yeah.
other.
It's just old timey piano music,
but you just-
but we're not dressed old timey. We're just like shoving each other.
It just should be like the drunk wine giggles from the podcast. Just Aaron's like laughter,
Snorting.
and then Stella just going like, oh god, and then you both walk out. And it's perfect.
Stumble out. Hey guys, we're here to wrestle.
We're here to wrestle.
We're all great guys.
I want to think about that. What would be your tag song? You have to think about it.
It's
Yeah,
important.
we'll
It's an
fight
important
them.
life choice.
Yeah, and then we
See?
can fight you guys.
Perfect.
Yes.
All right, we got through the fun part. Now we have to talk about Fastlane.
Okay, hold
All
on.
right,
We're gonna go wine.
Woo!
Okay, we'll pause. We'll do another wine break. So let's see how this goes.
Congratulations, everyone.
And we're back.
Yes.
Like terrible voice. So now we're going to talk about Fastlane, or as Erin has dubbed it, Raw number 1.
Yes.
Because it just felt like a shitty Raw.
It's
Yeah.
really just a shitty Raw.
None of the matches, except for, I would say, the Neville Jack one, felt like a championship match to me.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Like the Charlotte Bailey match was good, but it was so bizarre.
It was
that,
good
like,
for the first 2/3, and then it fell apart at the end.
Yeah, I also
Because
like.
they had a couple weird spots, and like Bailey looked really frustrated as a person, not as like a character. She looked like, "Why are you not getting ready for the spot, you idiot?"
Yeah.
Yeah, it also got to the point, like, I literally don't think I watched a single moment of Roman versus Braun. Like, as soon as it started, I was like, I don't give a fuck about this.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't
Yeah.
even notice his terrible shoes. That's how little
Oh, I
paid
noticed the
attention.
shoes.
I did notice the shoes.
I
That's
liked
how
them,
little
you
I paid
guys.
attention.
but
I liked him.
They looked like shape-ups.
What is the shape up?
With the rounded
Skechers?
bottoms.
Oh, to make
Yeah.
your butt.
Yeah.
Maybe he needs. Roman. I'm not like body shaming anybody, but Roman fluctuates really heavily. Nick notices it a lot because Nick is like a workout guy or whatever. He's like, oh, he must be off like his cycle because his muscles look like this or whatever, and he like can look very cut, and then 2 weeks later look like kind of
Garbage.
sloppy.
Maybe that's why he wears that giant protective vest.
Does he have the weirdest belly button? Do you think?
Oh no! Weirder than Baron Corbin?
Honestly, I think
Not
that's-
humanly
I
possible.
think
Not
that's-
agree!
I know, right? I think he has to have like some weird, some.
I mean,
like,
he's been shirtless before in the Shield
Yeah,
a couple
I don't
times.
understand.
But I didn't see
I
like
didn't really watch that.
Roman's like too attractive for me. Like I'm intimidated by how pretty he is.
I look at Roman, I go, I wish that you were.
Better.
No, I look at Roman, I just like, you're hot, but if I'm going that direction, I just want to look at Jason Momoa.
Oh, I totally
Fair.
feel that.
So I'm like,
I totally
you're
get
almost
that.
like you're very hot, but like, I would prefer Jason
Yeah.
Momoa.
Yeah.
Roman's not my type enough. The hair is. Long hair dudes A+. I think if you go through my list of favorite people, you'll probably find a correlation there.
And you know, DDP and Kenny Omega, and they have the same
Hair, exactly, right? You can't go wrong. There's some more people on that list, and yeah, but he's so handsome that I'd be like, oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Darcy, I can't look at you.
But now just think of him with like a weird...
with Baron Corbin's chest.
With Baron Corbin's chest.
Did anybody see that picture that someone photoshopped?
Looks like his face.
Which was Finn Balor like holding up his shirt being like, I'm ready to get back in the ring. And it's just like, how is someone that attractive with that many abs? And someone like photoshopped it with Baron Corbin's like chest. And it was like, this is everything I don't want.
Oh, that sounds terrible.
It was pretty funny, but I was just like, this is...
Belly button mouth?
No.
Gross.
Finn Balor is too much. I just want to look at him forever.
I just want him to be back.
I know, me too.
I'm so ready.
It was one of those things where I saw him in something the other day, and I was just like, God, I miss you.
We're jumping ahead, but this is the thought that I'm having, and I'm sure this is like pie in the sky, but it'll all be okay if Kevin lost to Goldberg, so Goldberg can lose to Brock, so Brock can lose to Finn.
Yes. I hope so.
Yes.
Brock's got to lose to Finn or Rollins, right?
I don't think it'll be Rollins, to be honest. I feel like it'll either be
It's got to be someone returning.
Or Goldberg will beat Brock again and just drop the title and never be defeated. I also think that's a very strong possibility.
I'm fine with Brock being beaten by Finn and like finally getting the payoff for the Undertaker and finally getting the payoff, blah, 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 and then Brock just like disappearing.
Yeah.
Or
that would be nice.
But honestly, I'm very fine with Brock just being like humiliated.
Yeah, I would actually love to see Brock get humiliated again, but if like does that okay, maybe even this. Maybe Goldberg humiliates Brock again at WrestleMania and everyone's like, thank fucking God, who gives a fuck about this, and we move on, and then the next night at Raw, Finn comes back and is like, I will beat you right now, and actually beats Goldberg. I feel like Finn might be the only person that they would have Goldberg drop to as well, because they have such high hopes for Finn, and like they've lost all of this time with him already, and like they had him come in super hot and win the belt right away the first time, and when he comes back, I feel like Goldberg is a person that they want to build up very, very strong and either have him just leave and be done and be the superhero, or have him actually pass on to Finn. I feel like Goldberg is more likely to drop to Finn than
Brock.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I think Brock at this point will just do whatever, but I don't think Vince McMahon is willing to have Finn beat Brock Lesnar.
Yeah.
I just don't see that happening.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
Like in theory, I was upset that Kevin lost, but like Kevin and Jericho have the most amazing chemistry, and then
so good.
Like just Jericho just walking out and like looking at him, and then Kevin being mad, and then like Goldberg winning, just like the Jericho look, and like. Jericho is the fucking best.
Yeah,
like
he really is.
He's like
he really is.
And like a year ago, we would have been like, "Oh God, Jericho, whatever, just retire or whatever." But his ability to transform, like he is doing the exact same character that he was doing 2 weeks ago as a heel, but now he is like the ultimate babyface.
Yes.
He is just so good at like the subtleties of. Like,
part of it is
wrestling
the way
psychology,
he
but he's also like a really good wrestler.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think that he.
Do you want to do the Festival of Friendship for Halloween?
Oh my God.
Yes. I legit still want to do that burlesque dance to SOS of the Festival of Friendship. I think it would be awesome.
Can I be the clipboard?
Yes.
Just throw me.
KO. Or
we'll my name on this.
Or we'll be the like weird painting.
Oh yeah, I could be the...
Or the statue.
Yeah.
Just do a whole like photograph series.
Oh, I love it. Jericho has been one of the only parts of Raw that I watch. Like,
he's so good.
I'll always
just,
go.
I love his full beard now too. That's psychology.
He's the goat, man. Like for real.
Yeah,
like
he went from creepy villain mustache to like full dad silver gray beard, and it's like, oh God, no,
I'm having feelings.
Right? I have so many feelings. He put the sparkly jacket back on, but it has a really
man.
nice scarf also.
Yeah.
Like he just combined good guy Jericho with bad guy Jericho, and is now like,
he's just
I love you.
He like understands the like
Everything.
the subtleties of
yes,
wrestling.
absolutely.
Yeah,
And he's also still a good wrestler.
He is a good wrestler.
He can get through a match and it's fine. Like, it's not shitty ever.
Yeah,
it's
and
just
he will
fine.
have like one or two good spots. Like his match with Samoa Joe on Raw was like, you know, it was just like a Raw match, but there were like a couple good moments with him like taking control over like Samoa Joe, who's supposed to be like this big destroyer.
Yeah, right. And also Chris Jericho can have a good match with anyone. Like, he had that whole feud with Dean Ambrose. He had that thing with Sami Zayn for a minute. Like, he obviously really wants to put younger talent over too, and it like really works, and he's really good at it. And
I
awesome.
think one of the really great things about Chris Jericho is he's a guy that you can see understands the entertainment and the character aspect of wrestling.
Yes.
Like, whether or not he's the best wrestler ever, I don't think it really matters. I think what matters is that Jericho, you could be the best wrestler in the history of WWE, but if no one gives a shit about what you're doing, that's an issue. And I think the thing with Jericho is he always knows how to work that crowd to make them get the reaction that he wants.
Yes.
And he's just so phenomenal at it, whether he's a good guy, a bad guy, in between, whatever. He
so
knows how to twist the crowd in those like little ways, like just the way his voice breaks or the way he's
like subtle like glances.
His comedic timing is he's one of those dudes whose comedic timing is so good. And I was actually thinking about this because I was listening to his podcast. I don't really listen to a lot of wrestling podcasts aside from yours, or in general, but I listened to a couple of the Talk is Jericho ones with the people I love. And I was listening to the one with Kenny Omega the other day, and I like was realizing like how much I love Chris Jericho. Like, even his Talk is Jericho podcasts are so
it's so fun.
They're very laid back, and it feels, and he doesn't bullshit in it.
Right.
He just like is kind of honest about things, and he's talking about how like, yeah, he put up money for this thing and it failed, and he doesn't know really why it happened, but like, you got to move on and do all this stuff. And I was like, there's nothing about Chris Jericho that I like,
and he's still
inherently dislike really anymore.
Genuinely seems to like actually like wrestling, which makes a big difference. Like, part of the reason we had such like a hard heel turn on Dolph Ziggler, politics aside, is he just like has this like, it feels like, at least as an audience member, that he has this disdain for wrestling.
Right.
Yes,
where it's like, well, I can feel that now. Like, why am I paying attention to you?
Yeah. It always looks like Chris Jericho's having fun.
Yes,
and that's why I like him. Yeah. And of course, like, and he's one of those people that I've loved since I was a kid. I mean, he was like, TMI, Courtney here was like, I'm pretty sure like Chris Jericho inspired some of the like 12-year-old sexual awakening.
That's okay. I was sexually awoken by Alec Baldwin in the Canteen Boy sketch on SNL. So
I'm so glad that we're friends.
Weird. He's very. Have you seen his eyes when he's younger and his chest and
Hey, Beetlejuice. He was a babe.
Such a babe.
Super hot in that movie.
Totally agree with that.
Yeah. Anyways.
But yeah, no,
weird
I think, we all, but so it's like one of those things where I think I'll always like Chris Jericho, but I just remember when he came back like 2 years ago, a year and a half ago-ish, and everyone was like, why the fuck is Chris Jericho back? This is ridiculous. And now it's like, best segment of Raw, possibly ever was the Festival of Friendship. It was just one of the best things.
And the follow-up has been good.
Like it's building, you know, like it's got a reason.
And you look at it on paper and you're like, oh, Goldberg's champ, whatever. Yeah. But like, I am willing to accept all of that bullshit because of the strength of the story between Kevin Owens, who is excellent, and Jericho, who is like kind of a wrestling genius.
Yeah, I totally agree.
I think he's one of the few people who gets it, like just gets every aspect.
And he also has the added bonus of now being in a position of power because he's Chris Jericho, where he can be like, nah, I'm not going to do that. We're going to probably do this instead. And if you don't want to do that, I'm just going to go tour in my band.
And like, he's fiercely loyal to WWE, so I don't think he'll ever leave for another company, but he could just leave and just be done. And I think that I think you're right. He has that like position of power, and he holds that like authority where it's like, well, okay, I'll just do this other thing. Like, I'll never leave you for another company, but I'll maybe just leave forever. And like, I think that that's also like a really good
remember at Mania when he put over Fandango?
Yeah.
I just remembered that happened.
I love that it's like a joke that he uses now.
Yeah. I just remembered that even happened. And I was there. I just remembered that happened. I'm like, oh yeah, Fandango.
What are other things you want to talk about? So we talked about Goldberg and Kevin Owens, kind of. We kind of talked about Bayley and Charlotte. I was surprised that Charlotte's streak got broken.
That was sense to me. Why didn't she just get a DQ and win, but have Bayley keep the belt? Like, it just was dumb storytelling to me. It didn't make any sense.
Why Sasha, like, why that wasn't
it was a total heel move, and then it was just like,
that doesn't make sense. So on Raw, they followed up a little bit, and so now Mania, the match right now is going to be a triple threat, but it's like...
It's definitely going to be a four-way.
Sasha came out and was like, Bayley, oh my god, this is so amazing. We should totally wrestle at WrestleMania. And then Charlotte was like, does anybody see what else is going on? She's totally using you, and now they're having this three-way, maybe will be four-way.
Yeah.
So I think they just wanted to not jump the gun because Mania is close, but I think they just didn't pace it out right.
Yeah, I agree.
Can I...
Hashtag WWE.
Can I go off topic, but still on topic?
Always.
What do you...
Welcome to our podcast.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the fact that it's another WrestleMania where we have two women's titles
so mad
now?
about it.
Okay, and neither of them are a singles match.
I'm really mad about it.
I'm not. I actually am not mad about it.
I'm very torn because on one hand, I'm pissed because I want that to be a thing. And
because
there should be a women's match.
That's like, these two have this feud, and I want the like spotlight of an incredible women's feud. I understand why it's happening because Naomi got hurt and it fucked up their plans.
Right.
I get it. But I'm still like not happy about it.
Yeah, that's like how I feel. I'm kind of in the torn in the middle where I'm like, I really want there to be like this moment where women are recognized as they can have a singles match at WrestleMania for a title and be fucking awesome, and that's a thing. I also understand it from the other perspective of they want to get as many people to be able to work WrestleMania and have a WrestleMania moment and be able to experience that, because who knows what happens with injuries and things like that. I understand wanting to put all the women that they think should be highlighted into a show of that caliber. So it's a way to see all these women. So now we're going to have, 7 women on the show. If there's not another match, at least 7 if they don't add another.
Well,
and they're 8. Yeah, Nikki and Maurice. I forgot about that.
Nikki and Maurice.
And then a 4-way for the SmackDown title.
3 now, but probably a 4-way.
They did not say 4-way. They said every available woman.
No, we're talking about Raw.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, because I have a feeling that
it's a 3-way now and maybe a 4-way.
It's definitely going to be a 4-way.
They're going to add Nia, right?
Yeah, there's no way they're going to leave her out of it.
Right.
Like,
and
I think that is the right decision because they did a 3-way last year, that they have to do something different.
Yeah.
So
because it's just like substituting Bayley for Becky.
Exactly. And I feel like they've burned through all of their other options on Raw because they only use their 4 women.
I don't know.
It's the
we got Tiny Gloves back.
True. She'll probably be a pre-show match.
A female Kenny Omega.
Oh my god.
That's basically her look,
Emma.
which is awesome. I'm fine with it.
Love it.
I want Emma to rescue Dana so much.
She's so hot.
She's so hot.
Yeah,
I could watch Emma just walk down the ramp all day.
I love her dumb dance where she's like...
It's so dumb.
I just want
I'm excited for
Emma
her to
and
come
Dana
back.
to be best friends. I love
I
it
know
so much.
I feel like it's moving in that direction because Charlotte's clearly pushing Dana away too.
Right.
So I'm like,
I'd be really cool with a Sasha Bayley BFFs versus Dana and Emma.
and then Nia and Charlotte versus each other for the championship.
like something
I'm
like
totally
that.
into that.
And
I
then
think that would work.
so SmackDown's doing
Everyone
quote unquote all women except for basically Nikki and Maurice.
All women that are available is the thing.
Yeah.
So it's
So
not
Alexa,
Nikki and Maurice are going to be in a match. So it's not
Right.
going to be them. So it could be Alexa, Mickey,
Becky,
Carmella,
Natalia,
and then if she's cleared, Naomi.
And probably Tamina as well because she's wrestling on SmackDown.
What about
shows.
Eva Marie?
Oh.
Also, maybe Eva Marie. Here's what I think.
What if Eva
Yeah, I did not
Marie
watch,
wins at
so I'm
WrestleMania?
I'm learning.
What if Eva
Yes.
Marie wins at WrestleMania?
We're drinking and learning. We're drinking and learning.
So here is what I think is probably going to happen with the SmackDown
I like that we
women.
didn't want to talk about Fastlane so much that we just like fucking move past it, bitch.
Let's talk about maybe WrestleMania.
Right, let's just
Fastlane.
SmackDown WrestleMania. I have a feeling because the Intercontinental match is not going to be a ladder match. It's going to be Dean versus Corbin. The women's SmackDown match is going to be a ladder match. And that is the right decision.
I would be on board with that, but I feel like you're pie in the skying it right now.
But there's so many of them, I can't imagine how they're going to fit at least 5 women into a match together without making it a ladder match. It really doesn't make sense.
On Talking Smack and part of, I guess it was just Talking Smack, Renee really pushed home the, we don't know what kind of match it is yet.
Okay.
Exactly. And
so there's going to be something.
There's going to be a stipulation that we don't know.
Exactly.
Okay.
And they haven't done a women's ladder match on Raw or SmackDown. SmackDown is the one that consistently pushes their women to do new things every time. And, this is the perfect format for it. They love having ladder matches at WrestleMania, and we don't have one yet. And we don't have a likely one yet, even. So I feel like that is the right place to put it. There's so many of them, and like
I'd be cool with that.
I think it's a great idea too, and I also feel like they have such a good window to be like, Tamina's back, she's no longer injured, and to like, Eva's gonna be in this. All right, we're gonna make it a ladder match because of this, and then at WrestleMania have Naomi come back and everyone just lose their fucking shit.
Especially because it's in Orlando.
It's in Orlando, so everyone's gonna lose their shit. She can be the one who like runs up the ladder in her fucking glow shoes. Like, it would be a beautiful image to have her win the belt, like all dressed up in her hometown too. I feel like
on top of a ladder.
Yeah, and I feel like that is the direction that they're pointed at for the SmackDown women. So in that case, I think that it is the absolute right thing because SmackDown loves their women and they really want to showcase
I should clarify. I am actually fine with everything that SmackDown is doing right now in regards to WrestleMania. Sans maybe AJ Shane because I like don't care about Shane. But the build up to that has been good and
fine,
AJ is so good that it's like whatever.
If anybody can carry a match with Shane McMahon, it's AJ.
It's AJ.
Seriously.
So like I'm willing to overlook it because I have faith and I like watching AJ.
Yeah.
I guess I'm more annoyed that on Raw, we have this 4-way.
Yes.
I'm really annoyed by it.
I think that it's going to be a great match, and I think that it makes the most sense, but I think that because they've burned through every other possibility because all they use are these 4 fucking women to wrestle, like, in that way, I totally get it. I think that it's appropriate for the story they're telling, even though it's really fucking annoying.
There's going to be, like, 13 matches on this WrestleMania card.
Oh, it's 6 hours long! Yeah. It's so long!
I'll be there.
Are you going to get there early enough to be inside for the pre-show matches?
Oh, hopefully this year. I made it last year. I made it in, because last year was such a fucking mess.
It was a mess!
Last year was Dallas.
Oh,
yeah.
Dallas.
I made it in, I think by the we went to the bathroom, and we got like food in a program because it's my uncle's present. We always get him a program. And when we sat down, the pre-show started 5 minutes later.
Oh,
and we had been waiting outside since 2:45. It was so bad. And this year we booked like the WrestleCon like is doing the bus where they pick you up at the hotel and take you and pick you up after. So it'll be a little bit easier to like get around. But I'm just like, it's such, like Mania Day is so long and you're there for forever, and it's so great during it when you're like in the moment and everything is like, because this will be my 4th, and so it's just
amazing.
Like,
Did you go to the one in NOLA?
That was my first one.
Because me and a couple friends have already been like, well, next year we're definitely going.
NOLA is amazing.
I mean, I love New Orleans.
It's the
I'm like a New Orleans
You're definitely
tattoo.
gonna go next year?
Yeah.
So the
Warwick and Dave want to go.
All right,
weirdest,
well, I'm fucking in for that.
It's literally the weirdest thing because when you go down Bourbon Street and you're like partying, it's just wrestling fans. So like after WrestleMania, and it was like the best WrestleMania ever, and Daniel Bryan wins, and it's like everybody's just losing their shit. We all went to Bourbon Street, and we ended up on like a balcony, and I have like a recording. Basically, I have like a recording of everyone in the street, like it's packed, like it's like New Year's or something, doing just wrestling chants.
That's
and it's so strange because you're just like, there's like Shane O'Mac chants, and everybody's walking down the street doing the yes chant, like thousands of people down Bourbon Street just shit-faced.
Yeah, I'm in.
And
I want to
it
go
was
to that.
so much fun. And that was another thing, like, also I would recommend getting there like a day or two early, because that's when all the wrestlers get theirs, because we get there, we always go for a week.
Well, yeah, I think that's what we have just loosely discussed, being like, well, let's just have a vacation, but then be there for WrestleMania.
Because we got there, and I think all the wrestling really starts like Thursday night, all the indie shows, like Thursday night and Friday. And we got there like Tuesday night or Wednesday, and we went to like Bourbon Street, and it's only like a quarter filled, and it was just like, there's Nikki Bella doing karaoke in a random bar, and you're just like walking down the street, and I'm like drunk, like and I'm like, is this a fever dream? I'm like drinking a $2 Hurricane, and like Del Rio was walking by me, and like Sami Zayn was on a balcony, and I was just like, this is not a real thing.
Oh my God.
But it's NOLA's really, you should definitely go, because it was really, really fun.
Even if
they have a really nice hostel in there too.
Even if I didn't go WrestleMania proper, like the carnival of indie wrestling is so cool to me. Like I would just do that and be totally happy.
It's worth it.
Also, there's super dope burlesque in New Orleans.
Oh, see, there you go. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we went to a bunch of jazz clubs and
there's
stuff.
There's also an awesome Museum of Death, which apparently is very cool.
That sounds really cool, actually.
Right?
Awful.
Yes.
That's the best part of WrestleMania week is like, it's not just WrestleMania. There's like
everything.
Yeah.
We're getting in this year on Tuesday night, and then we're going to Harry Potter World with a bunch of wrestling fans, and then we're doing Evolve and Joey Janela's show, and then all the WN stuff. I'm going to like 11 shows, I think.
Yeah. How are you going to be alive?
I don't sleep. Like, I just... So
Adderall.
Here's, like, no lie, the first WrestleMania I went to, all I ate was fruit and booze. The first.
That's like when I went to Bonnaroo.
I lost like 11 pounds in like 4 days. Because literally, we went to Access and all I had there was fruit because everything's so fucking expensive when you do any of those show things. So it's just like watermelon and then at night, like, well, we're going to Bourbon Street. And,
oh my God.
I mean, it was bad. It was like the drunkest I've ever been in my life, but
well,
it was also
just, like,
very cheap vacation.
Like,
I spent no money.
That's so great.
It's just like $2 beers on the weekend.
Sounds like my vacations.
Yet again, Fastlane is so boring. We've talked about
right now talking about booze.
Pre-show, the good guys won over the bad guys, and Alicia
Cruiserweights.
Fox is doing her. Why did she walk down the runway doing this weird bird arms?
She's so strange, but
She's
I love her.
Crazy.
Yeah, she's
She's
crazy.
really when she got her chocolates on 205 Live this week, she looked at the box and just started violently shaking them, and then just smiled oh, I know what's inside now.
She ate those flowers. It was so
Why did she eat the flowers?
I don't know. I'm still mad that they don't let her wrestle as much because I have real feelings about Alicia Fox's bridging Northern Light suplex. It's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my life.
She's not a terrible wrestler.
She's not at all. She's very, very competent and she can have a really good match. And I like her.
That's how I feel about Summer Rae too. It's I feel like people really discount her, but Summer Rae is a pretty decent wrestler, and she's good at the character that she does.
I mean, I don't like the idea of Alicia Fox only being a valet, but if she's gonna put more Noam Dar on my screen, I'm kind of all right. At the same time, I'm okay with it.
I know.
Yeah,
and I do love Noam Dar.
I love anybody who's Scottish.
Yeah,
and I would rather see Alicia as a valet
than
not see her
exactly.
at all.
I'd rather have her valeting than doing nothing.
And her last match as a lady wrestler was with Nia Jax, where she got fucking cracked against that wall a bunch of times, which was amazing.
Yeah, that was so.
I know that Alicia got the shit beat out of her, but it might be my favorite match I've ever seen her in because she took those bumps against that barricade so fucking well that it was amazing. Now she gets to be crazy valet.
She really helped Nia, who, for example, in the Sasha Banks Nia Jax match. Nia Jax match. Whatever. I was saying it, but I was reading it at the same time. I thought the match was fine when Nia was in control, but when Sasha started fighting back and winning, the match went totally off the rails. Nia is very green and and because she's been in this position where she is this powerhouse and she wins all the time, she hasn't really developed her language of being defeated. Yeah. Or being on the losing side of the match. And it's very stark when you watch it. Especially the size difference between them. I'm all for an underdog story, whatever, but when the giant, quote unquote, can't not take a bump, but can't feed into the story physically, it becomes really, really awkward.
It's the
I'm happy Sasha won, but I didn't like the match.
Yeah, I felt like they tried to do a very old school babyface rally win out of nowhere. That's what it felt like. They were trying to build that psychology, but it didn't
make any sense.
But it didn't seem like Nia understood the psychology. Way that
I would have bought it more if she had tapped out to the bank statement. It did not buy that she got rolled up and she couldn't unroll the 10 pounds of Sasha Banks.
Yeah, it was weird. And or if they were gonna do a roll like that, I feel like there should have been several more rolling. I'm getting her. I'm
near fall kind of.
Yeah, exactly. I felt like there should have been way more back and forth where it was just 1, 1, 2, 1,
Sasha
1, 2.
Gets
oh
slammed.
Shit, you got it.
Yes, Sasha gets slammed and sat on and but she somehow finds a way to kick out, but. Nia gets rolled up and is I don't know how to wrestle.
Right.
Yeah, it's just really weird. I totally understand what they were trying to do with it and the story they were trying to tell with. Are they telling Bayley's story with Sasha? It feels very much like Sasha has become the underdog who has to fight out of everything now. I don't understand how.
I'm just waiting for the heel turn.
Yeah, I'm waiting for the heel turn.
It's coming.
I know it's coming, but it also feels like they're trying to tell this because Sasha couldn't get it done at pay-per-views and like Bayley got it done immediately, which felt very weird. It feels like they stripped Bayley of this underdog story. And
do you think they're gonna give the belt to Charlotte again at Mania?
I would not be surprised.
I don't know. I'm not sure.
I feel like they're gonna wait
Charlotte
a while
was...
because now she's tied her father.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and I think they might wait to keep the belt off her for a little bit.
That's
so
fair.
that like it's like they'll probably do another continuation of like her surpassing her father's legacy kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Which I think that would be smarter than having her go over again.
I agree.
And 2 WrestleManias in a row, right after she lost her paper, like to win it back. It's been so back and forth with them, like where I feel like if they give the belt to Sasha at WrestleMania, I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
Because she didn't win it last year and everybody was super pissed about it.
Yeah.
And it's also been this back and forth thing where if Bayley loses it to Sasha at Mania, I don't think it makes Bayley look bad, really.
I agree.
And then also it sets up for the renewal of their feud.
Right. And there's no way Nia's going to win it. So it's got to be Sasha. I feel like it's got to be Sasha or Charlotte.
I feel like if Nia wins it, it makes the most sense because then it could set up for Charlotte versus Nia. Charlotte wouldn't immediately have the belt. She wouldn't have past her father's pay-per-view record.
True.
They could like set up this individual thing for them, and then Sasha and Bayley can tag against Dana and Emma, and then Sasha and Bayley can turn on each other. Like long term, I think it makes a lot of sense to have Nia win. But you're right, it'll never happen.
She's just not.
It is weird that Charlotte was like, Charlotte's the bad guy in this scenario, and Charlotte was like right on Raw when she was like, so this is fucked up what happens. Like, Elle had a tweet where she was like, hot take, maybe the heels should be wrong sometimes. But like, if you look at the majority of the heels have like really good points now. Like, the heels should be bad guys, but they're just like the people who are like mad because they get fucked over.
It's really weird.
I don't know. Other matches. Samoa Joe and Sami Zayn.
It was okay.
It was okay.
It
was
wasn't
not great.
I would have been, I think it could have gone longer and I would have been a hell of happier.
I agree. It felt stunted.
It felt stunted. And I enjoy, Samoa Joe's never been one of my favorites, but
I like him.
I like
fine
Samoa
with
Joe
him.
in theory, or not in theory, like I understand the place that he serves or
The
whatever,
role he plays,
the role he plays, and I know that it's an important role, but I like just don't care about it.
Right.
If that makes sense.
I think I will care more about him once we officially get at the stable between him, Kevin, and Triple H. I feel like that's really gonna make me care about Samoa Joe's character because I like his wrestling, but I don't really give a fuck about his character. It doesn't mean anything to me, and so I feel like that will help bring me more into that.
And I feel like just from my personal biased standpoint is like, no matter who's going against Sami Zayn, I'm never gonna cheer them.
I know, right?
Like,
I'm always gonna cheer for him.
I'm always gonna cheer for Sami Zayn.
Sam.
And Sami Zayn, I've made this discussion. We've had this discussion before with Jay, where like Sami Zayn is like what you guys know Mark Andrews?
Yeah.
Sami Zayn is to
I know
WWE.
him from TNA as Mandrews, the skateboard guy.
Yes. So like Mark Andrews in Progress is a lot of ways like kind of more fleshed out version of Sami Zayn where he doesn't nearly lose as much, but he's always shown as like kind of people underestimating him, and then he's like the fucking greatest thing ever. Whereas like Sami Zayn, I think that's part of the reason why I stopped watching WWE is like I love Sami Zayn and I'm just so bored when he's not wrestling. When he was doing stuff with Kevin and Jericho, it was awesome and it worked, and even the stuff with Braun was like fine. I would just click in, but like I feel like there's so much. Sami Zayn on NXT was so important to me.
Right.
Like the first time I remember really getting super emotional in the last few years about wrestling was when Sami Zayn won the title from Adrian Neville, and I was full on bawling in my bedroom. Like I have so much feels about Sami Zayn, and so like whenever I watch Raw and stuff, I'm just like I don't feel like Sami Zayn's buried. Like I think that's ridiculous. There's no way that Sami Zayn. He's not. He's wonderful, and I think they recognize that he's wonderful, and because he's so wonderful, he plays that role so incredibly well. Yeah. But it's just kind of like the same thing over and over.
There's never a payoff. Like there's not like with an underdog story, there should be moments of like
right,
and there's never those moments.
We did get that with Braun,
kind of.
Well, I feel like the whole point of that was that Sami was supposed to get his ass kicked the whole time and survive.
I'm worth 100 Eva Maries.
Yeah, and like those moments I feel like really helped build to him, and like his stuff with when he was being buried because he was the funny guy with Roman and Seth, and he was like fake shielding. Like I understand that was supposed to be meant as like a dig at Sami that he's the silly like weird guy, but like that totally worked for his character.
Yeah,
so
like, why don't they just make him that?
I know,
make him he's an endearing person.
Make him the, like, annoying guy that everyone loves.
It's because Vince doesn't get it. He thinks that means that you're weak, and that means that nobody will like you because you're this guy, but, like, he just fundamentally misunderstands Sammy, and that those are the things that make us love him. Like, what's up, weirdo, endearing dude that's like a tiny little bean who just wants to be everyone's friend?
That's the thing that's so great about Sami Zayn. I watched the ride-along episode that was on last night with him and Adrian Neville, and I think that's the thing they need to bank on with Sami Zayn is the single most relatable person on that roster. Sami Zayn is the Daniel Bryan, used to be. I mean, obviously there's different,
but that's the role that he fills.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sami Zayn is the guy that we all want to believe in, and he's the guy who represents all of us. He's just, he's just trying to do what he can, and he's doing what's right, and he's doing his best. Yeah. He's just doing his best.
He's also just really good.
And he's phenomenal, and it's just that he hasn't had the matches that I want him to, NXT quality matches that he had. Mm-hmm. And NXT was just such a brilliant... There was that time of the golden little era of NXT where everything was good and you could never miss it. And now it's like, I haven't watched, aside from last week because Chris was on, I haven't watched NXT.
His name is not Chris anymore.
Shut up!
Shut
Sorry.
up, Stella!
Cassius Ohno!
Oh, no!
Your favorite song. But it was just, now it just feels like there's been such a shift.
Yeah. And I feel like NXT is starting to turn around again. It's just like, I feel like it was so dumb of NXT to be like, this is the end of us as a developmental brand. Like, no, idiots, you just moved everybody up. Like, that was the dumbest thing you could have said. Like, you're definitely still a developmental brand, and we should all be very aware of that.
Watch some of those matches, and you're like, yeah,
right?
And it's not that they're bad matches, but it's that people need to figure out the characters.
Right. And it's not, sometimes it's like, it's really good, like, technical wrestling, but there's, like, no character and no emotions.
Right. Or all there is character, and it's like, what the fuck is happening in the ring right now? Like, you're just squashing somebody
to
squash
that
somebody.
Idiot who's, like, kind of like Prince, but is also not like Prince.
Patrick Clark.
That fucking guy.
That fucking idiot.
There's not one thing I like about that guy.
I haven't ever
really
seen
nice
him yet.
Skin.
I have. Because he's had a couple matches as that Prince character.
I've only, I know who he is, and I've seen
good.
him build pictures and stuff, but I don't think I've watched a full match of his yet.
It's bad.
He's not a good wrestler. He doesn't fundamentally understand the Prince gimmick.
No, not at all. He needs to watch Aaron Rex and just do everything Aaron Rex is doing, to be honest.
Oh, with his, Liberace style thing? Yeah, that's been pretty
He's actually
funny.
really good at that Liberace stuff. At first, I couldn't tell where it was going, so I was like, is this, some, weird, because he, has the, affected voice and the lip gloss and stuff, but I was like, oh no, this is full
Doesn't
Liberace.
he have, Spud as his,
Yeah, in a Sergeant Pepper's beard. I love Spud, too!
Yeah, I really like him.
He's so great.
He's always pretty great.
I like that he lost to a baby.
I know! And it didn't hurt him at all. I love that. I love that Spud is just, such an established, great, weirdo, side character in so many ways.
Maxwell's gonna grow up and be, a megalomaniac monster.
Oh my god.
Spud was on Progress.
Was he really?
2 shows ago, yeah. Huh. I haven't seen it yet, because I'm not there yet, but I knew that he was on.
What number are you on?
I'm currently on 31.
And there's 48?
44 right now.
God.
44 was last week.
Just, put my hands in my eyes.
Thumb yourself in the eye.
Okay, here are the other matches that we didn't talk about. Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson versus Enzo and Big Cass.
Didn't watch it.
Who gives a fuck? That ending was super
You know what?
weird.
It sucked on Raw, too. Fuck both those teams. They're boring as fuck.
I like both of them, and I don't
Gallows
care.
And Anderson, I didn't watch them on New Japan, but they are fucking the worst on Raw. And Enzo and Big Cass are just dumb caricatures that are not actually good at wrestling, and I'm over it. I'm really over it.
Nothing is working. It's obviously going to turn into...
But I do want to have sex with Cesaro and Sheamus, so I'm still on board.
And that's going to turn into a
Speak for all of us, my friend.
Right? Jesus. That's clearly going to turn into a 3... That's also why I think that the women's match is going to turn into a 4-way, because the tag match is going to be a 3-way, and there's no way they're going to do 2 3-way matches.
Oh, I can understand that.
Rusev and Jinder broke up. Which sucks, because I actually kind of like them as a tag team.
Actually, I thought that this was the dumbest, weirdest shit that we got all night.
That was
but it made the most storyline sense.
Yeah.
It was so long.
What happened to Jinder's body? Because, a month ago he looked, normal, and then...
like a doughy person.
And then this... Yeah. Oh, yes. definitely steroids.
He gets to work out 24 hours a day
Yeah,
wherever he
or
wants
he's
for
just
free.
addicted to working out.
I think it's both. I think that he's probably taking
body's so
supplements
veiny.
and also just like working
I
out.
just like.
Constantly.
I know they were making
Slow down,
jokes
buddy.
calling him like hard body or whatever during a couple of Raws, but I didn't really notice it until Fastlane. I was like, holy shit!
I know, right? He looks like a different person.
You look like you ate a different person.
My mom loves Rusev.
I love
She
Rusev.
thinks
I have never been like physically into Rusev. I like him sometimes
Yeah,
as a character.
same.
I'm into the haircut.
He looks great.
Yeah.
I
My
mean,
mom thinks every time someone refers to him as handsome Rusev, she loses herself laughing. She thinks it's like the funniest
What does your
thing
mom
ever.
think about Lana?
My mom is fine with Lana. My mom's favorite wrestlers are the Young Bucks. So that tells you her point of view.
All right.
She likes Enzo when he's just talking and like not doing anything. She hated the whole thing with Lana. She hated that.
Yeah,
but she
it's
likes
bad.
she likes
It's
Enzo in
disgusting.
general. Who else does she like? She likes her other favorites. My mom likes tag teams. Her other favorite wrestlers in the whole world are Los Ice Creams.
oh my god,
That's
yes.
we were at Chikara in
Yes!
line together, and that was the whole reason my parents came. Is because my
She
parents
wanted to see Los Ice Creams.
That was the first time they've ever been to a wrestling show.
They were so
So
fun.
they
Your
were-
family's so cute.
My family is adorable. And we all didn't even plan it. We all wore matching jackets.
Yeah,
because
it's
we all
so
adorable.
we all had leather jackets, and
Ah.
so yeah. But my mom was like, I'm sad because they could only go to the afternoon show of the finale, and so she's like, I'm sad because all the wrestlers I know aren't going to really be there because it was like kind of the two cards were split up.
Right.
Yeah.
She was like, I'm kind of sad, and then they put Los Ice Creams. She's like, well, that's exciting, and you could see her little eyes were like, and she loved every minute of Los Ice Cream and Hermit Crab, like all that like silly stuff. She loves it. The Young Bucks are her favorite wrestlers in the whole world. I've had them sign things for her. They send her little messages and say, "Love you, Mom," and sign them the Young Bucks.
So adorable.
Young Bucks are the greatest men on the face. They're amazing human beings. So, but yeah, so she likes anything that's like slightly silly. So she likes handsome Rusev. She likes
silly. Wrestling should be silly.
Yeah.
If
Some
wrestling
wrestling
is
should
not
be
like
silly,
very
yeah.
like intense, good storytelling, it should be really dumb.
She loves
in my opinion.
Jericho. She
Yeah.
is
It's a tough
desperately waiting for Finn to come back. She loves Seth because she loves his laugh.
Yes, because his
Jackal.
laugh is the best.
Yeah, those are all her guys.
Also, let's just address for a second. Seth, they are telling the best babyface story with him. Like
And he's not even there.
the best thing that could have happened to him is that he fucked up his knee again because like he was an okay babyface and like whatever.
Yeah, when he
Facing
came back the first time, he was
it
okay.
like
Yeah.
you're facing Triple H. You're obviously the good guy here.
The video
but
that Triple H did on Raw was like, it was great.
yes, they're doing such a great job of reestablishing him as a babyface, and like he is doing like. He's still a shit. He's still such an irritating little evil shit, and yet I still like, please heal your knee.
Yeah.
Please come avenge us, please, Seth, please.
Avenge us!
You have no blonde hair anymore. I accept that you're a babyface.
Those are like two things I'm really excited about for Mania and the Raw after. I'm like, there's going to be a Seth match at some point, and hopefully Finn Balor comes back.
I'm so
And
And
excited.
hopefully there's a debut of some sort.
I don't even love Finn that much. Like, he's never been a like big, I'm not a huge mark for him, but
Yeah.
like I am very excited for a potential comeback.
Yes.
think
Because
be
like
great.
I want to see him like reclaim his like title. Like I
I
want him
think-
to like be
Finn coming back will be he'll be such a great face for WWE.
Yeah.
Because so desperately.
They need that right now. Finn is one of the few people I think, like, let's face it, in a world of wrestling where 90% of people are shitty humans,
Yeah.
I have never heard a bad thing about Finn Balor.
neither.
Ever. Like, he seems like a really
and there
good
seems
dude.
to be a small little like collective growing of people like Sammy and Finn and Kevin Owens who are like
Neville.
actual like Neville who are like good people
Good human
and
beings.
good wrestlers and
Yeah.
like we need this tiny little thing to grow.
Yes.
Just like because
let's
we all
not
make
fuck it up.
concessions and be like, I like this
Yeah.
person even though this person is maybe a shitty person. For me, Austin Aries, we can talk about it later, whatever. But it's nice to have people like Finn where you're like, you're just a good person and you're good at your job.
It just
Yeah.
seems like he likes kids and women
Yes.
love him, men love him. He's from Ireland, so he has that UK
The charming-
kind of thing that brings in other fans from out there. And I just feel like even if
He
you
loves
don't like him as a
Legos.
wrestler, he's a good person to be
He's
an
a good
ambassador
ambassador.
for the company.
Right.
And
And
I think that's a really, and I feel like what you were mentioning earlier about like Cesaro and stuff, I feel like Cesaro's another person like that. Where like every story I've ever heard about him is he's an amazing human being. And he speaks all these languages. He's such a good representation of what that company should want to be and should want to put forward compared to some of the other shit that they have going on right there. Yeah. It just seems ridiculous that those aren't the guys that they're gonna really put a star on, because
I think
they are
moving in that direction.
I agree.
But like, you know, as with everything in like wrestling and specifically a McMahon owned wrestling, like it is slow to happen. But it seems like they're moving in that direction at least.
Yep. Turns out being a good person also profitable, and that's all Vince McMahon needs to know, is that it'll still make him money.
Well, New Day's gonna make ice cream or something, and Biggie wants to fuck that cart.
I really hope I can buy New Day ice cream at WrestleMania.
You know what?
I swear to God,
I want to watch Biggie fuck that cart.
I mean, yes.
I love that he was just like licking it, and they were like, "Are you drunk?" And he was like,
No, definitely.
I love all of the weird shit that like New Day, specifically Biggie, at this point gets away with. People can be mad about like time machines and whatever, but like Biggie licking things and gyrating in the background is the best thing in the world.
He just goes for it. He doesn't even hesitate anymore.
He doesn't care at all.
Love it.
I love when
they're like, "What are you gonna do? Fire my ass?"
Yeah, I love when they drop in little like sexual comments or like random song lines. They just drop. It's just so, I don't know.
Or they like fake break character. Like sometimes Biggie will be like, "That's not funny. I told you not to say that."
Yeah,
like that's the best.
I love it. It's so.
All three of them are the best, and I love them so much. And I don't care how many dumb, stupid shit they do because I love them. I don't care.
My favorite thing in WWE, I think New Day is really good at this, and I also like. I like Daniel Bryan as GM because he also really
specifically in Talking Smack.
Yeah, really understands like. What are you fucking gonna do? Fire me? Like,
this weekend,
please fire me.
A little bit of sass.
Or like, please fire me. The best thing you could ever do is fire me, and then I'll go to the Indies and I'll make the most money ever. Like, all New Day would do that too.
Daniel Bryan just kept singing Snoop Dogg lyrics. And Renee was like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah, because he doesn't give a single fuck.
It's one of the only moments Apollo Crews has had like a character, because like Renee was like, "How's the rest of that song go?" And he like sang the song. Like, Apollo Crews, finally do anything with your life.
Oh my god, seriously. I love Apollo, and he just has no character. It makes me so sad.
I don't love him, but I like weirdly like want him to succeed.
Yes.
Like I'm like, I want you seem like somebody who I want good things for.
I kind of like, just from a sad personal perspective, wish he was on Raw just so we could get a Apollo and Tozawa tag team, because they're the best real life best friends. Yeah, they are best friends. I want like a buddy cop drama of the two of them just like traveling around and having fun. And like they're all the like vines that they did and Instagram videos, they're just such great funny people. And I think that's the thing, like I think the problem with WWE is like everybody gets pushed to be shoehorned into like a certain role, and if you have to like see who the person is and what they work with, and if they work with certain people, put them with those people just long enough where they can get over and
they can
get some
crowd
crowd
love. Like Apollo, like even on Talking Smack is just like rough. Like he try, like you can tell that he's really trying. It's just like it's not working.
Yeah, he has no character. That's part of it. Like all these is just like, I'm happy to be here. I'm a good-looking dude, and I wrestle good. And it's like, that is not enough.
Not enough, buddy.
I do not care. And I don't think it's his fault at all. I think it is very much like, you look like this character, and so you're gonna be this character. And it's like, who the fuck is this character? Right. It's no one. It is paper. That's all it is. It's just... I feel bad for him, because I think that he could be very good. Also, he'd make a great heel, but... I think it's also
there's so many heels.
There's
so many heels, baby faces,
and also
especially on SmackDown.
I think it is very important for them to have men of color who are good guys, because they are very bad about making all of their black men bad guys, and like that's
not right now though.
Not right now.
Yeah,
New Day has been very good.
Like they're good guys. Rich Swann is the goodest of good guys.
Yeah, Rich Swann is so great.
No Hey Jose is. I know he's not like. African American,
and Mustafa Ali is the same way that I think that they're doing much better about making men of color good guys.
Nick loves him because Nick went to one AAW show and really liked the match. It was Ellie's last match at AEW, but it was Ellie and ACH, and Nick was like, I like both those guys. Those guys are good. Yeah. He loved both of them, and then he really liked Sami Callihan because he liked how well Sami Callihan could take a beating, because it was Chris Hero versus Sami Callihan, and he really appreciated how much Sami Callihan...
He appreciates how much somebody can get the shit kicked out of him.
I mean, I think...
I understand that.
You know, like the gross things that Sami Callihan does where, like, he'll get punched and, like, just spit a bunch of shit. Like, I think that really, like...
He's very visceral in his wrestling.
I think that really worked for Nick. And he liked Chris Hero, too, but he was like, I don't know, I just like the way that one guy got his ass kicked so much, but then, like, he was just good at getting his ass kicked.
Yeah. Since, I mean, Nicole came to the second night of the gym.
Oh,
That's when you met her. She felt the same way about Zack Sabre Jr. and Chris Hero, where it got to the end, and she was like, I really liked Zack Sabre Jr. because she had seen him in the CWC, and so he was the only one that she knew in the whole
I remember
tournament.
that. That was really fun.
And so when she was like, I watched him get his ass beat by this dude and was like, yeah, I'm totally into this. This is amazing.
She was so fun to sit next to,
because
she was just like,
she's the best.
Oh my god. She drove out to LaSalle with me to go see wrestling out there.
Really?
And we were like in the very back row sitting right next to the merch table of all the wrestlers. And she was having sort of the same experience where she's like, why are all these wrestlers right here? This is so bizarre. And then was like, I'm just going to scream my head off.
She was
I just can't care.
so much fun to sit with.
She's one of the most popular guests on the show because we put... with friends who don't know wrestlers, we play a game where we'll show them a picture of a wrestler. Like, I'll pick like 10 wrestlers, but Erin doesn't know this, and we'll show them a picture of the wrestler. They have to describe it, and then the other person has to guess.
Perfect. Yes. I love it.
And she's a favorite because she describes CM Punk as the shitty little boy at Christmas. Because it's him sitting cross-legged with and like she was like, he looks really pleased with himself.
I think she called him Charles, the shitty little boy on Christmas, which was so
since
accurate.
Then, she's been like a podcast favorite.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's awesome. Perfect.
Yeah, she's great.
Charles, the shitty little boy at Christmas. I love that they tried to do a CM Punk chant because Raw was in Chicago and Stephanie was like, you guys love losers.
She's really good at shutting it down. My favorite part was when Chicago started to chant CM Punk at Goldberg, and his response was like, he didn't know what to do. He like
Goldberg literally just was like, oh yeah, you want to... Yeah, that guy! And then Paul Heyman thankfully saved him.
I know, that's exactly what I was going to say. I love that. His immediate reaction was like,
Goldberg
I understand what you guys are saying.
Literally let out a sigh like of relief when Paul Heyman's music hit.
I know, and Paul was like, get me out of there right now! Don't let him talk anymore! It was perfect. Like, I loved that. I thought it was fantastic. Poor Paul Heyman.
Whatever. Who cares about Paul Heyman? I mean, I like Paul Heyman, but like, also whatever.
Right? I wish he was with anyone else. Anyway, what other matches we not talk about?
No, I mean Fastlane is done. We all liked the Neville Jack Gallagher stuff.
It was so good.
Oh, it was really good.
It was a great match. They both
I love Hugh
fucking
Neville.
Great.
Oh, I just want to roll around with him.
Who doesn't love Neville?
How is
Neville
Austin Aries the good guy?
It's mind-blowing.
I love that he spent months building himself up as this heel on commentary. Like, I'd put my thumb in his eye. I'll do whatever it takes to win this match. I'll beat the shit out of this dude with
And that's how he wrestles. Like, I love Austin Aries' wrestling style. I love that he like jumps around like he's got like he drank like 6 cups of coffee. Like he literally jumps before every move, like a weirdo. But he anything that he said he would do in commentary, he did when he was fighting Tony Nese. Like, put his thumb in his eye. He did all the heel moves, but he's still the good guy.
Yeah.
Which is dumb.
I love it.
I don't mind the feud at all. Like, Neville
I don't mind the
Austin Aries
feud
is
at all.
fine. I do not want Austin Aries to win at WrestleMania, though. Only because I feel like Neville's never really had a win at WrestleMania. He hasn't, like, that's the only thing. Like, I feel like Neville's...
feelings because I'd like the Cruiserweight title to be really stable for a while.
Yeah.
But also, Austin Aries is like one of my guys.
Yeah, it's absolutely... That's the only thing. It's like, I feel like Neville has done so much so far to add real weight to that title.
Absolutely.
And to add a lot. And I think that Neville, being in the company as long as he has now, coming from NXT, having a win at WrestleMania with a new title would be like such a really important moment for him.
Yeah.
And then like next pay-per-view drop to Aries. Or like Raw after drop to Aries. Like that wouldn't...
Or 205 the next day.
Yeah, like that wouldn't bother me as much, but I kind of like
I get what you're
personal
saying.
expensive. I just want Neville to have a moment because I feel like he missed his moment last year because he was supposed to win the Intercontinental title last year.
But we got the best moment of all time.
We had Zack Ryder. I know your feelings. I know.
I love that moment.
I was really happy. I was on my feet
Because it
when
was
Zack Ryder.
shocking.
Yeah,
it was
surprising.
genuinely surprising. surprising, and his joy was so palpable, and I love him, and I'm happy that he was happy.
I was 100% fine with it. 100% good with it.
Honestly,
I cheered for him.
The best thing that ever happened to Neville is that he didn't win that Intercontinental title.
Because then he could come back as a heel.
Yeah, exactly. Like, he had to take all this shit time off, and that sucked. But this is the best Neville's ever been in WWE.
I agree. And
like,
that's partially why I think I want him to continue doing this for a little
totally
while longer.
Because
it's like, okay, now we've had a good 3-4 months where the title hasn't changed hands.
Right.
And it's solidified Neville as a real contender for a lot of stuff. And if he passes on the title after that, I'm totally okay with it. But I just want him to have that moment.
I wonder if...
But I think a WrestleMania match would be awesome to solidify Aries as well.
Yeah,
right.
I want to see, like, I think that they could do something like that when they did with, like, AJ Styles and Jericho. Like, a lot of people were upset that AJ didn't win.
Right.
But it's also, like, AJ still got to be at WrestleMania. He still looked amazing. He fought Chris Jericho, which is a big deal.
Right.
Yes.
And not
it was
including the Nick.
2 months after he debuted.
Yeah,
like, I feel like
exactly.
if they did something similar,
And then he won in a great match the next day, too.
Right.
I feel like that's part of
that
it
match
is
was so fucking good.
There's this idea that WrestleMania is a singular event.
It's not. It's like a whole week.
It's
especially now with the brand split.
Yeah, with the brand split, it's going to be fucking WrestleMania. Okay, so we have the Hall of Fame on Friday. We have NXT on Saturday. We've got WrestleMania on Sunday, Raw on Monday, SmackDown on Tuesday, and 205 Live, and then NXT on Wednesday. We have like a whole solid week, basically. And I think that that's going to be really important going into WrestleMania this year, that everyone remembers that Sunday is not the end. We have a lot of shit to come after that. And all of that is going to be equally weighty and equally important.
The Raw after WrestleMania is always such a huge deal.
Exactly.
It's continually built. It's been you have to go to it. And that's the way we go. And we're not able to go to SmackDown because I don't have enough time off.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think most of the people who are going to stay after WrestleMania for Raw are going to stay for SmackDown too, really.
I think that SmackDown is
going
to be the
of both.
Right.
Because SmackDown has been so much better than Raw too, I feel like SmackDown is going to be even more fucking nuts than Raw is. Normally you can expect that Raw post-Mania is going to be out of control, and I feel like this year especially SmackDown is going to want to be we are better than Raw, and we're going to fucking blow you out of the water.
I agree.
I feel like SmackDown on Tuesday after Mania is going to be the day that we get move-ups. We're going to get new people introduced to the roster.
I'm very interested in who they might bring up.
I'm really excited about it. I think it can be really, really
I think
cool.
there's a lot of people, there's a lot of options that they have.
I want them to bring Nakamura up really
I was going to say, they've got Nakamura, they've got Asuka, they've got Hero, they've got Rude, they've got Billy and Peyton. Yeah. They've got lots of people who I feel like would be fine if they moved up.
And they need people on the main roster on both shows, especially fucking women. They just need more people
especially
on
Raw. Just to give something else.
I know that Asuka right now is in this contract where she's only on NXT, but Asuka on Raw would be really good.
I want to watch Asuka murder everyone.
I'm worried that because Asuka doesn't speak English that they'll never put her on Raw.
But they don't need her. I feel like she's really established that they don't need her to talk. They need her to smile and then sometimes scream a bunch of words.
That's true. Mm-hmm. Although I feel like they could put Asuka on SmackDown, and I know that they are probably going to bring Kelly back also very soon, and I feel like Kelly could work well in Raw because they already have Mickie James on SmackDown, that to insert Kelly into that division.
And Kelly could fill the role that they were hoping that Emelina would fill.
Yes, exactly. She's beautiful. She has this very specific look, but is also talented.
Did you know that Maurice was in her wedding? I watched it on reality TV.
I did not know
She's
that.
on the Wives and Girlfriends of Professional Sports Players.
Right.
Yeah, she's married to that hockey guy.
That's why I also think that they're more likely to bring her up to Raw, because she has that same Total Divas appeal, because she's on an e-reality show.
That's true.
That Raw's we want to bring these people in.
Yeah.
I watch all e-reality shows.
And I feel like Kelly could have great matches with a handful of people on Raw, and could fit very well into that as well. So I wonder if maybe she'll be one of those people that comes back post-Mania, post Hall of Fame season 2.
There's got to be a group of women who were at WWE in this weird divas era where they are actually athletic women who want to be
Melina?
Wrestlers, right? Who want to be wrestlers.
They'll never bring Melina
back.
But you know what I'm saying? English Underground was fuck this.
But you know what I mean.
They said her name on TV the other day, though.
Really?
They said,
in terms of people who are still wrestling.
Yeah.
No, they said her name on. I think it was Morrow, so who knows? He goes off the cuff sometimes. But just saying this person is tied similar range. Yeah. But what I'm saying before, let me just finish the thought, is that Like, there's got to be a handful of people who are like, oh, I'm actually very athletic and very talented, and I push the limits within this like box of diva bullshit that they put me in. But like, I want a chance now that we have this like, you know,
like
women's revolution or whatever.
Lisa Marie would be great to have.
Oh my god, bring her back, bring her back, bring her back.
She was freaking great at trios.
And like, she was like, she really worked. She worked her ass off within the like the, you know, little box that they put her in. She like busted out when she could. Like, I feel like she really made a name for herself in a positive way that would really reflect well if they ever brought her back.
Plus, the Widow's Peak is the most badass.
It's so badass.
So cool.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I like.
Obviously, I'm biased, but I like Love Her.
Yeah, me too.
That's fine. I really like the WWE. This is the first year that they've ever done Women's History Month packages, and I think it's.
Is it? I didn't know that.
I think so, because they just do Black History Month and do the like same 8 all month and like whatever. At least they're doing it.
Can I say something? And maybe this is ignorant. It makes me uncomfortable that only the Black superstars talk about Black History Month because it's important. I get it. I get why, but like also I feel like it's important for like everyone. The whole point of Black History Month is that we all talk about it and then we all acknowledge it and then they were all like, I don't know. It just bothers me.
I get it. I also think that it would be very difficult to pull which people you talk about Black athletes that are white people.
Yeah,
you
I know.
I
mean, I
like,
get
if
that
you don't pull everyone, like, who are the ones that you have to talk about?
I get that it's a tricky
people?
situation, but it just also feels like extra pandery instead of just being like, no, this is important for everyone, not just other Black athletes.
I think that the women's packages are a good mix of that. Of course, this is the first month they've ever done Women's Wrestlers History Month. Like, they didn't have women's wrestling division a year ago, so this is like an exciting thing for them to be going back into. But I like that there are men who are talking about these women. I like that there are women talking about them. I think that they're doing this the right way with the women's packages, and like
I am really done with Trish and Lita though.
I mean, I get it. I'm glad it's the first one that they did because everyone's familiar with it.
Very
and I'm
important,
excited
but like,
to see.
I'm done with it.
I'm excited to see who else they talk about and what else they bring up. Like, I have a feeling they'll probably talk about China and Beth Phoenix and what was her name? The other.
No, I think they're only going to talk about Trish and Lita in wrestling, and then they're going to talk about other women. Like, they'll talk about, like, you know.
I mean, it's
They
possible.
had a picture of Angelina Jolie, so, like, who knows?
Well, I think that it was just like, we know what pop culture women look like.
I would prefer if they just talked about other women's wrestlers, but I feel like they'll do like they do with the other culturally appropriate packages where they'll talk about other people in other professions.
Yeah,
I almost said divisions. Other divisions in life.
Other divisions. I think it'll be interesting. Although I feel like this is a good excuse for them to, like, talk about their good history.
That's fair.
And so I feel like of all the times that they would be willing to, like, just focus it on WWE women, like, now is a really appropriate time for that, especially if they're going to bring back old women's legends. Like, now is a good time to introduce Kelly. Like, this is a woman who existed in a division that sucked ass. Like, what if she was back today? And then 3 weeks later, she's like, I exist still. Here I am. Like, I think that this is a good way for them to build to that. And I also think WWE is very much in a mood where they want to toot their own horn about the stuff that they have done.
Do they want to toot their own horn?
Legit, literally all the time. But I feel like, especially about women's wrestling right now, they're very invested in, like, we did things right sometimes, every once in a while. Like, let's cut this down into a 5-minute package and look at all the great things that we've done. So I also feel like that's something they really want to push, especially if they're going into 2 big women's matches in WrestleMania that they really want to push. Like, we give a fuck about women. Like, okay, great, awesome.
Yeah. The other thing that we should talk about is the, like, Randy Bray stuff.
Yes.
Just a little bit. Just touch on it. Bray was not on the show, SmackDown this week.
Yes.
I feel like really bad for Bray. I like want to hang out with him and be like, are you okay?
Aww.
His reactions last week were so, like, palpable. Like, he was, like, talking to himself and crying and, like, hitting stuff and, like, freaking out and, like, oh my god, give him a Slammy and an Oscar. It was amazing. But, like, I'm so curious as what's going to happen. So it's now set that it's Randy and Bray.
Yeah.
And AJ and Shane, obviously. Because, like, AJ was so mad. Road Dogg had to pull him off.
I'm going to make one real quick comment about the Randy-AJ match. It was pretty good. There was a very long stretch of that match where I was like, there's literally no way Randy can take the Styles Clash. Like, this is literally
I watched it on, like,
ever.
Sometimes when I'm bored with a match, I just put it on the first fast forward where I can see all the moves, but it's just really fast.
Yeah.
That's why I do that match.
Yeah, it
pissed me off that everyone was like, the greatest SmackDown main event. And I was like, you can't call something the greatest before it happens.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
True.
Also, like, you can't hype it because like it was an okay match.
AJ versus Luke was a great match.
Yeah.
Like it was a fucking
This was,
great
like,
match.
fine.
It was fine. Yeah.
There were good moments,
But like Randy is so fucking tall that it just looked bizarre a lot of the time. Where it was like, you're never gonna put him in a styles class. Like if AJ has put Bad Luck Fale into a styles clash who is 6'4". Randy is taller than that. Like there was literally no way that Randy was gonna be able to take that. So I felt like the whole match I was like, well, Randy's gonna win.
There was the moment where AJ jumped up and was gonna do the phenomenal forearm, and
like fake RKO,
Randy was gonna do the RKO, but AJ saw it, and like they had good moments.
Yeah, I thought they did a good job of working with that, but it always felt inevitable that he was gonna win.
I'm very excited about Randy and Bray, but this is the like weird like fantasy nerd in me that like Bray Wyatt's like story is magical realism, and like it should be more magical than it is now, and like I really want a lot of like fantasy storytelling with this, and I'm like afraid that they're not going to do it. There's so like at the end of the match, I literally like if I were writing this at the end of the match, I would have had like the lights turn out and like the Bray come back on the lights and literally just him like crying and being like, you don't know what you did, and then like it go like normal. Like I want like crazy shit like that to happen. I want like this to be like, especially, you know, for so long they've been like trying to build him up as like the next Undertaker or whatever, and they've fucked that up so much.
Right. Yeah.
But like you have this like really beautiful opportunity. Like you should show Bray like in full freak out madness until he regains his power.
I think Bray's most interesting when he has that little touch of magic to him.
Yeah.
Like when there's just a little touch of something. Like all the stuff he does that's just, I really like Bray Wyatt.
Yeah, me too.
I
just like they always
really liked him. And so I'm not totally up on what's going on right now. Like I watched the thing last week with the fire and stuff because it was all over Twitter and I couldn't miss it.
Side note, there was a really funny line where AJ was like, this guy literally burned someone's house down, and he gets a match.
Yeah.
And he's rewarded. Yeah. Meanwhile, I'm here working my ass off, and I was like, that's the best line. This guy literally burned someone's house down.
I wrote it down. It was one of the only things I took notes.
No. That's just
so
that
good.
was basically my point. Is like I think every time they have Bray Wyatt do anything that has like just a little bit of magical realism in it, where you're kind of like, okay, this could be a trick, or this could be actually that Bray has some type of power, like something. Like it just adds a little bit of mystique to it, and I think that's really cool. And I think that's why I really like the Wyatts, like right from the beginning, is because they had that weird camp thing and all that stuff, and the children singing, and I just always liked Bray Wyatt. Like
they
in
need
general,
to go back to that.
That
stuff.
exactly, yeah.
But I
want
really
there to be more of that.
Yeah,
it does feel that way. I mean, he burned a man's house down.
I really want to see Bray losing it.
Yeah.
Like the source of his power or whatever is like destroyed or whatever their storyline is. But I want to see physical evidences of like Bray just like always like puffy face, like freaking out, talking to himself, pulling his hair out, like not knowing what to do until he, you know, figures it out and regains his power. Because like theoretically we think he's gonna win at WrestleMania because A, storyline, and B, because Randy is like really in his corner and like loves Bray Wyatt and is like pushing for him. And it would like be the most cathartic thing, especially since they've been like LOL fuck you Bray for the past like 3 years.
Yeah.
But I feel like it would be way more impactful if they show the like downwards crazy spiral.
It feels like they're doing that though. It definitely.
I hope so.
I hope they
because he can handle it too. Like him as
he's one of my favorites to watch, like character-wise, acting-wise.
Yes,
like, he's really compelling.
He is
so
very subtle. Like large enough for like a camera to read and an audience to read, but like subtle, not like wrestling big time.
And the voice, like the voice when he's on, like everything works. The kind of affected kind of thing he puts on.
Finally figured his outfit out.
There's
it's
so
not this like bizarre
much
Hawaiian thing anymore. Like it just clicks.
There's
all of
so
it's
much
clicking.
about Bray that could be so
good.
Fucking good.
And he could be a
and like he's been really walking that line of them like fucking him over,
and then they'll do something great.
But he like fixes it, and like I just need Bray. Like he has this beautiful character that he's built, and like they just need to let it live.
Yeah,
and I think that's the best thing they can do is like have that little bit of magicalness to him, but also the like downfall physicality kind of thing where he's losing it, but he's like trying to keep it together. But also on the other hand, you have when Randy Orton is the best is when he's doing this stuff.
Yeah,
when Randy Orton is an evil motherfucker who has a gripe and he's just
And honestly,
the worst. That's when Randy Orton is. That's the only time.
It's interesting.
That's the only time I like Randy Orton. When Randy Orton does the shit where he just loses it and he's like full on Viper, full on snaps, and he does the real super crazy really well, and Bray Wyatt does the kind of like understated crazy really well.
Yes.
And that's why I think that match would actually be really cool if the build up to it over the next 3 weeks is built correctly.
Right. And it feels like they are doing it correctly.
I hope so. I really do.
And if it would be like if they do it right, it would be an interesting moment. Like, I feel like you could build a feud where, like, depending on who you're talking to, like, one person's the babyface and one person is the heel. Mm-hmm. And it's this very, like, who is the right, who is the wrong. And it could be really fascinating. Yeah. They just have to, like... Honestly, they just need to step back and let Randy and Bray do it.
I agree. Yeah. Because I think both of those guys are in that range of, not like babyface, but in that range where, like, the crowd loves them in general.
Right.
Yes. Like everyone was hype when Bray Wyatt won the title.
Yes.
Everyone was hype. Even people who don't like Bray Wyatt were like, I'm good with this. He deserves it. You know what I mean? Like, everybody was happy with it.
He really
and Randy
does.
Orton is going to get cheered by people no matter what, because all, like, a bunch of people love Randy Orton. You know what I mean? Like, he's not my dude, but I can understand it.
But you acknowledge when there are moments when you're like, yes.
Right. And I'm like,
yes,
I see why people
Randy.
put their money at this guy. Yeah. So I think if that works together, and exactly like you said, if they are kind of have the control over it, and they are able to tell the story that they want to as two individuals, not powered by this evil giant machine, then I think it will be fucking great.
And it seems like it is moving in that direction.
Hopefully.
Because, like,
I didn't watch SmackDown yesterday. So.
I'm really upset that I'm starting to get my hopes up, because I've trained myself to never get my hopes up around Bray Wyatt.
True.
But, like, I really have, like, a lot of...
But he does at least have the belt right now.
That's true. But I will never forget that TV exploding, so...
Oh, yeah. Forgot about that.
I haven't. I never will.
Forgot about that.
Oh, my God.
Okay. Any other thoughts about wrestling before we wrap this shindig up?
No, whatever, that's fine. What do we even have
left
to
talked
talk
for
about?
like 2 hours, so we should probably wrap it up.
We have a good question that I think that Courtney, I would like to hear Courtney's
fine.
Because
we're going to be like over 2 hours.
I know. It's from Sarah.
It's easy for you because you don't have to edit it.
That's true. We don't. Although I
always feel bad for Jay when I do that, and then our podcast is 3.5 hours.
Right.
I cut it down.
I talked to Sarah about this, and she was like, "I'm gonna email the show. I need to know all of your thoughts about this." Okay, so I'm gonna ask this question of all of us, dear Erin and Stella and Courtney. Important questions ahead. Do you think Undertaker's hair is attached to his hat? Do you think he has 2 wigs? One that is attached to his hat for when he knows he doesn't have to wrestle and makes public appearances, and one that is sewn in for matches. Furthermore, do you think the same person who makes Undertaker's hair hat also makes Kane's hair mask? Are there other current examples or current suspicions in WWE wrestlers who wear some sort of headgear, mask, hair apparatus? Can someone figure out such an apparatus for poor Baron Corbin? I look forward to your insights. Your show rules. Keep it up, Sarah. How do we feel? I think that Sarah is correct that there are probably 2 wigs, one sewn into his hat and one that he has sewn into his hair for when he actually has to wrestle. Thoughts?
I literally have never noticed the Undertaker hair situation.
Really?
I have, but I haven't thought that interested in it.
Sarah and I talked about this the other day, and I was like, I have so many questions.
I know he came back on Monday, but I haven't seen it, so I'm not sure of what the status of the hair situation was.
It was very still, and it did look as though it was attached to his hat.
Do you guys ever notice that he picks his coat up very delicately as he like walks?
Scarlett O'Hara.
Yeah, for real. I was like, well, excuse me, you're having a moment.
That's part of what makes me think his hair is sewn into his hat for those moments, because his hat does not move and neither does his hair. So it makes me think that it's sewn in. When you were little, did you try and roll your eyes in the back of your head?
Who didn't spend like half a day lying on their back and then trying to do the sit-up only to realize that you're like a chubby teenager and can't do shit? It's most of my adult life. Anytime I try to do a sit-up, I try to just...
You're just doing the Undertaker.
I'm summoning the Undertaker, and then I'm like, nope, there's a reason. I can't do this shit.
No.
I feel like the actual Undertaker in that I'm like 50 and probably a little old for this shit now.
I've never noticed the hair situation with the Undertaker. I honestly have never noticed.
Okay, well, if you are listening and you have opinions about Undertaker's hair hat wig situation, please at me. I would like to
Baron
know.
Corbin just needs to shave his head.
He needs to lose a hair match so badly.
I think someone tweeted the other day that there should be a Dean Ambrose, Baron Corbin, like hair versus hair match, and I was like, it will never grow back for one of them.
For one.
For both of them.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Dean Ambrose has like a.
That's what I
like
mean.
a
Whoever
brain.
loses, it's a
But
bad
Dean Ambrose,
situation.
Like most of the time it looks okay. Sometimes you're like, come on, buddy. But like most
He
of
did
the time
not
it
wet
looks
it
okay.
down. That's the problem.
Those pictures of him with Renee in that magazine, though.
Break my heart.
Sometimes I'm like, I don't have a huge attraction to Dean Ambrose like
But
I used
sometimes
to. But
in
then
the
in those
right-
pictures, I was like,
In the right light, you're like, yeah.
yep.
And then jeans
I'd
butt.
let you take me home in a bar.
Jeans
right?
butt.
Yeah.
Well, now
You in a
since we're
bar?
doing this, we do have a new review, so I'm going to read it.
Okay.
Best Podcast Award, hashtag Happy Birthday Stunning Stella. This is from Nutmeg. This podcast is what I look forward to every week. For someone who doesn't have time to watch all the wrestling that's out there, these ladies always keep listeners updated on everything going on and with great opinions. Parentheses, Happy Birthday Stunning Stella, parentheses, 5 stars for yelling.
Thank you, Nutmeg.
Excellent.
So we have less reviews, which means that somebody went through and deleted one. Which means that I probably made fun of them. Sorry.
Sorry. Maybe someone gave us a 3-star review and is now shamed into deleting
3
it.
stars. Could be better with work. Shut up.
Throw a one in your face. How dare you? You can find us on the internet.
I'm at Stella_Cheeks.
I'm at EarnGenC.
I'm at Chicago CRose.
And at Facelock Feminist.
Face Like Femmes, FEMMES, is
Yes.
our podcast Twitter.
Yes. You can listen to Courtney and Lady J talk about progress on Mondays on Face Like Feministas.
Which you can find on iTunes.
Yes.
iTunes and YouTube, yep.
Yes.
Oh, I forgot you used to do YouTube.
Yeah, that's right. You can email us if you have other questions about hat or entrance-related questions. I'm always
Also, if
down
you
to-
have an idea for me and Aaron's tag theme song.
Yes, please
or
let us know.
tag name.
Yeah, if you... Oh, yeah, give us a tag name, give us a tag entrance.
We're just so different.
I know, that's why...
It's hard to mush us together.
That's why me
know.
and Jay are work, because we are complete opposites.
Yeah, I feel like
so-
we need something that, like, encapsulates the fact that
And
are
we even
very
have,
different.
like, this is the perfect feud, because we even have, like, 2 blondies,
Right?
2 dark-haired
Two dark-hairs and
badasses,
bangs.
2
Bang
people
powers.
who laugh way too much.
Yeah! Yeah! Perfect, yes.
There's gonna be a perfect double turn here somewhere.
One of us.
Oh my god, yes!
We can't do a podcast, so there's gonna be 2 of us giggling.
I
And then
know,
me and
right?
Jay just being like, oh, we have to edit all of it.
You should rate and review and subscribe to our podcast and to Face Like Feministas. Both of those are great.
Yeah.
I love that when Jay came to Chicago, I was like, why haven't you rated your own podcast? And she was like, what? And I was like, duh, you can. And not only can you rate your own, but you should rate your own because you have to love your shit before other people can. She was like, this is life-changing to me.
I went onto iTunes because I was like, why haven't I rated our podcast? I realized that I've tried to do it several times because I have a Chromebook and an Android phone. I can't make
Well, I have
reviews
a
on
computer
it.
right here.
All right, well, I will have to use your computer.
I've rated our podcast twice.
I did it once on ours, and I didn't realize I could do it, and then I was like, but I've only been on there for like...
I didn't realize that
8
I
shows
did it
now,
twice
9
because it
shows.
takes a little bit for it to go through. So I
Yeah.
thought like, oh, it didn't go through the first time. So I did it again, and then it showed up, and I was like, well, I'm just gonna leave this. And one of them is me pretending not to be me.
Oh, yeah.
And then one of them is me being like, this is my podcast, I like it, but they both have the same name. It's very
I
embarrassing.
like my own podcast.
Yeah.
I'm amazing.
Fine.
You can find us on Tumblr at notyourdemographic.tumblr.com.
You can find us on Cage Side Seats, where we've been for 1 year.
Happy
1
birthday!
year. Happy birthday!
Gino, send us a cake. Oh, or donuts. I prefer donuts.
Okay, whatever. I'll deal with that.
You don't like
That's fine.
donuts?
I mean, to cake depends on what kind of cake and what kind of donuts. To be honest.
Good donuts, like not Dunkin' Donuts, like fireside cakes.
Yeah. Okay. I'm definitely more into that. You're right. I don't like chocolate cake. That's my only.
Ugh,
reservation.
donuts forever. Okay, we need to leave.
Okay. Goodbye.
Bye!
Demis.
Yeah.
Glorious, no, I won't give it